Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ring.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Charlie was killed, really distraught. And she said, "What do we do now?" I know the answer should be love. The answer should be peace, but Charlie tried that and it didn't work. And my response to her was, no, it did work. Powerfully. And that's why they killed him. We look at the movement that Charlie inspired around the world: love, truth, freedom, turning to God in good times and hard times, not asking God what he will do for us, but as Charlie said, quote, "I am far more interested in what God wants from me than what I want from God."
Tulsi Gabbard speaking this weekend, yesterday, at the memorial at the Kennedy Center for Charlie Kirk. Have you grown accustomed to the truth that exists now that didn't exist last Monday? I think it kind of hits you different if you spend a little time away from the internet, if you spend a little time away from politics or the news or whatever, and you come back. I'm still kind of going, oh my gosh, that's right. It's still difficult for me to process the truth of what happened last week. And I would say that the majority of my experiences of discussing this, especially over the weekend, have existed a lot in the, we kind of talked about this last week, but like, what do we do now capacity? And I would also add to that, that the majority of what people have asked me privately over the weekend is about what to do about what's going on your social media feeds. It's one thing to I don't know, X is kind of like nobody really knows anybody on X. That's the way it kind of feels like. You can create these connections on X, but you don't really have relationships with people who are on X. They're people who you know. They're people who you probably agree with. They are people who are interested in similar things that you are interested in, be it a hobby, a sports team, maybe an affinity for movies or a certain type of movies. So you create a whole bunch of these connections on X, and you can establish what feels like relationships, but those are not real relationships. That's not real. That's not something that, if it hit the fan, at the end of the day, you're not going to have like MAGA Boy 1776 show up and be like, let's talk about life.
Says you.
MAGA Boy 1776.
MAGA Boy 1776 is going to show up and help you every time.
I can count on you, Ryan. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
By the way, by the time the show is over, we're going to find out what the name of the man on the hat that Ryan is wearing is. That's the stupidest way you could have said that sentence.
If you log on and you see my hat and you think you know the guy's name, he does have a name.
All right. I said Beer Boy, and you said
you're not too far off.
All right. I felt good about that. I've had multiple conversations with the real people in my life this weekend, in and out of trying to navigate, any normal weekend in a September, school's in session, sports are in session, progression throughout the course of a few 48 hours. And there is a consistency to what people cared about and wanted to talk about. And that is, what do I do about these people who are on my social media, that they're commenting things, they're posting things, they're so hateful and they're so ignorant to say that. I mean, you can kind of predict all the hateful stuff that people are going to say about Charlie Kirk. And you can also see how toxic TikTok has been, I guess Instagram Reels, wherever people are getting their short form content. It's interesting to think about how much good and how far the reach of Turning Point and Charlie Kirk has been because of those platforms. And because of his impact and his imprint on culture, it is natural to spur a bunch of people who, in opposition, try to use the same platform to mute or poison the message that Charlie Kirk was trying to get across. There's something really agitating about Charlie Kirk's message. And what are the comebacks against Charlie Kirk in all of this short form contact? It's that he's a racist, that he's a fascist, that he's a bigot. It's the same as the insults to every other person. All you have to do to fill those blanks for the influencer left, and I am drawing a circle around a group of people here, a very specific group of people. Your cousin who does not like Charlie Kirk and maybe posted something that said, like, I wish they'd get that mad when children were shot in their classrooms. Those people have been influenced by the influencers who are seizing upon Charlie Kirk's message, bastardizing it into something that they can turn around and spit out to people in short form, catchy content. These people understand how to achieve reach. They understand how to put together a gripping message, and then all of a sudden you start seeing a sort of consistency in the counterattack, if you will, to the efficacy of what Charlie Kirk was trying to do. Now, I said this last week, and I'm going to say it today, and I'm going to say it again and again and again. Charlie Kirk was killed because of his Christian faith. He was not killed because of his politics, because his politics came after two things that he repeatedly said over and over and over and over: God, family, country. And the country is where the politics come in, but the God and the family is what determines what the politics look like. So if you have a foundation, if you have a principled root system in something that is outside of yourself, maybe it's the Bible for you. It is for me. If you have a foundation in something, that can kind of work its way downstream into, well, I think that because I believe this, that the government should do that or should not do that. That's the difference here between Charlie Kirk and a lot of these other people who are going out and trying to rile people up. On both sides. Yes, both sides. I'm not a really big fan of the both sides thing right now because I don't see the right-wing violence that people are trying to remind us that happens when we are less than a week away from a bullet going through the neck of Charlie Kirk because he was a outspoken Christian and, yes, conservative. Like, you get to sit down for this one for a minute. But both sides do use, and I'm talking about that small circle of people that I am trying to speak to right now. There are people who understand algorithms. They make money on your engagement, not the ability to persuade you. They make money on the ability to make you really mad, so you watch the whole video so you can say, can you believe this guy? And then you repost it on Twitter or something. You're like, this guy's crazy. I can't believe people are like this. But the engagement continues. And that does take place on both sides. What do we do? Not with the influencer people. Not with those people who are invested in this as a profession. What do we do with the person we went to high school with, who you haven't really seen post anything for a long time? You know, maybe they've had a couple kids or got a new job and you kind of knew that was going on, but now all of a sudden they've re-entered your life and they've said things that are outrageously wrong, very hateful. What do? I think we have a map of what we do in all of these instances, and it's a map that was given to us by Charlie Kirk. You have to ask yourself, in this moment, what is our goal? And our goal today is the same as it was last Monday when Charlie Kirk was still with us and still doing what he did. Our goal is to communicate in a way that defends where we come from and explains where we'd like to go in the hopes that we would persuade hearts and minds along the way. Not to be silent, but look at what Charlie Kirk did. The first question you have to ask yourself is, do we engage? And Charlie Kirk was the king of engagement. And I'm not talking about digitally statistical tracking of engagement, which he was and Turning Point is masterful at. That engagement matters. Yes, it does. What you do with it matters. But I'm talking about actual, real, human-to-human engagement. Do we do it? Should we engage? Yes, we should engage, because Charlie engaged. But here's the question. Are there confines and limits to when we engage or how we engage? And I think the answer to that is yes. There are a lot of limitations. There are a lot of guardrails on how to engage, especially in this moment, after we have lost the person who is willing to do it in the kindest possible way. Who did Charlie engage? Did he just engage the people who agreed with him so he could amp himself up like in a locker room before a sporting event where you're all wearing the same jersey and you're chest bumping and you're hooting and hollering because you're all going out for the same cause? That you went into that locker room on the same team. You leave that locker room on the same team. When you come back in, win or lose, you're still on the same team. There are a lot of people in the social media world who still live on that engagement. They live in that locker room moment where it's like, let's go, let's get hyped. Come on, let's win this thing. Is there a place for that? Yes, but ironically, that is a very private space, the locker room. It's really not for the rest of everybody to see how you get hyped up, how you prepare mentally and emotionally to go into battle. That is all traditionally pretty private. Who did Charlie engage? He went to universities. Where is ground zero for far left indoctrination of the minds of young America? It's in the college system. And Charlie said, I'm going there. I'm going to talk to those people. But how did Charlie engage? We know, did Charlie engage? Yes. Where did he engage? He went to where people probably disagreed with him. But what did he do when he engaged? How did he choose to engage? He didn't go busting down the doors of the professors in the classrooms and tell them to get the hell out of there because they were ruining the minds of America. He didn't do that. He didn't go into, the clubs, the socialist, which these exist. I'm not being hyperbolic here. The socialist clubs that exist on these campus and turn the tables over and shake his fist in the air and tell these people they should be ashamed of themselves. That's not what he did. He put up a table, and he had a microphone, and he had a tent. And he said, if you want to prove me wrong, I'd like to talk to you. In fact, if you want to prove me wrong, you come to the front of the line. And he greeted them. And he listened to them. And he talked to them. He gave them a platform to bring whatever it was that they wanted to disagree with to him, to present it to him, and then he engaged in a measured, thoughtful, educated, principled debate with these people, and clip after clip after clip has these people coming to him, and they don't even get to the point of their argument. They go, I'm telling you what, you look them up right now and you start watching these clips. These people go, I think I've misjudged you. They say it over and over and over again to Charlie Kirk, because what he did is he met them on their terms, invited them to a conversation, and he listened to them. That's the Charlie Kirk distinction. That's not social media engagement. That's human-to-human connection with a purpose and an intent to get somewhere at the end of the conversation that betters both people, not one party. That's the difference. That's what Charlie Kirk brought to the conversation. And yes, it was threatening enough to people who knew that they could never prove him wrong with their words. They proved him wrong with a bullet. That he thought he could come and have these conversations peacefully and continue to do it. But in that, maybe Charlie Kirk, with this idea that he could bring civility to what most people believe to be a completely uncivil conversation, not even possible. That bullet proved Charlie Kirk right more than he ever could have done on his own, with his words, under a tent, at a single folding table, a stool with one microphone in his hand. They made his message bigger than he ever could have. When you're fending off the temptation to give these people in your feeds, in your comment sections, in your group texts, a dose of their own medicine. Don't do it. You don't owe them anything. You owe Charlie Kirk and his movement, you owe him the study of how he engaged people and let people engage him. There has to be good faith in these conversations that we have with one another. We have to get back to respecting each other with disagreement, agreement to disagree. And if the other side of that conversation is not walking in to the discussion with that good faith, they don't get your energy. They don't get the worst of us, which is all surfacing right now to the top because we're mad. We're mad as hell at what they took from us. It is our job to give back, to move forward, to take, yes, the turning point of last Wednesday and prove that Charlie's way is still the right way. Did he engage? He sure did. He did it on their turf. He went to them. He listened to them. He conversed with them. That is not the internet. That is not the comment section. Run far away from those people who are in your mentions, who are in your DMs, who are in your comment sections. Run far away from taking the bait. Unfollow them. You don't have to unfriend them. Unfollow them. Take them out of your circle. If that happened in real life, you would not put yourself in their circles again. Shun them politely. Unfollow them. Then when you see them in the grocery store, you can still say hi with an honest intention, because all of this nastiness that just exists in non-real life online, that doesn't get your energy. It's not worth your energy. Charlie Kirk laid out the path for us. We know what to do. We have to pick it up and do it right now, because he's not with us anymore. But now all of us are Charlie Kirk. We're all ready to take up the mantle. And it has to start with kindness. Let's talk to Ryan Schmelz on the Annie Fry Show when we come back. He's Fox News Radio, Capitol Hill, and White House correspondent, and he's going to discuss with us the latest of the goings-on in Capitol Hill. Of course, a lot of people within the halls of Capitol Hill have been speaking up in defense of civility. Let's get that latest update with Ryan next.
He's a way maker. If you need freedom, save it. He's a prison shaking savior. If you got chains, he's a chain breaker.
The Retirement Advisory Group, we're having our last of the year Protecting Your Retirement educational event. Thursday, October 2nd at 6:30 p.m., retirementkey.com if you want to learn more details about that specific event. But I'll be there from 6 to about 6:30, so I get there early so I can hopefully get to meet you and shake your hand and thank you for listening, and then hand you over to the Retirement Advisory Group for maybe 45 minutes of learning how you can protect your retirement and making sure that you can enter retirement with peace of mind, with a plan, a personalized structured income plan that sets forth for you exactly what retirement you want it to be. So you've dreamt about a retirement full of travel. Maybe you've dreamt about a retirement that has maybe a lake house or something and just a lot of relaxation, spending time with the kids and the grandkids. Whatever it is for you, you have your dream ahead of you. Now you need to ensure that all your hard work that's led up to this point, that it's going to pay off. Reserve your spot. Bring friends at 314-993-9494. Doesn't cost you a penny to show up. He has snacks, and it doesn't take up your whole evening. It's October 2nd. It's a Thursday. Starts at 6:30 p.m., but I'll be there for 30 minutes ahead of time, hopefully getting to meet you at the Frontenac Hilton, retirementkey.com.
Life's unpredictable and full of unknowns, but your vehicle shouldn't be. No one wants to face an unexpected repair that could derail their plans and budget. That's why we're introducing CarShield, the ultimate way to future-proof your ride. We're not just about fixing problems, we're about preventing financial surprises. You can get a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan designed to save you from out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Imagine driving with complete peace of mind, knowing that if something goes wrong, you'll pay almost nothing for covered repairs. Included in every plan is free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. This protection plan is at an all-time low, making it accessible to any driver. Don't wait for a breakdown to realize you need coverage. Invest in the future of your vehicle and your wallet today. Call CarShield now for your free quick quote. Call 800-908-8646. That's 800-908-8646. Future-proof your ride. Call CarShield now. 800-908-8646. 800-908-8646. Again, 800-908-8646.
This is Kyle Bush with Krintz Financial Group. For over 6 decades, we've helped St. Louis families and businesses plan with purpose and live with confidence. How many times have you changed jobs over the years? If you're like many professionals, you may have left behind one or more 401ks. Unwatched, unmanaged, and potentially your largest retirement asset. Just because it's out of sight doesn't mean it should be out of mind. Let's make sure it's working as hard for your future as you are. Your goals, our mission, start today at kfgadvisors.com.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Servicing. Member FINRA/SIPC. Prince Financial Group is not a broker-dealer.
Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort, offering small ship experiences with a shore excursion included in every port and programs designed for cultural enrichment. Discover more at Viking.com. That's Viking.com.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
President Trump and I talk about this all the time. We share the same frustration. Democrats currently are playing games with this government funding idea. They're trying to bring in extraneous issues. We've been working towards getting the government funding appropriations bills done in the House. Our appropriations committee's worked, by the way, in bipartisan fashion to get all 12 appropriations bills through the committee. We've got 3 of them passed off the House floor, and now we voted just last week to go into a conference committee with the Senate to begin grinding this out. That's how the process is supposed to work. So if there's any Democrats who are trying to suggest that they want to shut the government down, we're going to do everything possible to prevent that from happening. It does not behoove the country, and we may need a short gap funding measure, a CR, for a short period of time to allow the negotiation to continue. But it will be clean in its scope, and I surely hope the Democrats will not try to make this a big partisan fight.
Speaker Mike Johnson on Fox News Sunday talking about what is to come with government funding. It is important to remember that while we are all reflecting on the events of last week, that the business of the country does have to go on, and Speaker Johnson is certainly in the midst of that. Let's get to our guest. Ryan Schmelz joins us once again, and we're excited to talk to him about this issue so we can get the latest on government funding. Ryan Schmelz, welcome back. Good to have you as always.
Always great to be on, Annie. How are you?
Doing okay. I wanted to ask you to elaborate a little bit on what Speaker Johnson said there, but also take it back a few steps and explain to us just that foundational understanding that taxpayers, American citizens, need to understand about how the government needs to get funded, where we are right now, and where we need to get to by the end of the year in order to make sure that happens.
Right. So the end of the fiscal year is September 30th, and that is when the government funding is expected to dry up and pretty much essentially we'd be heading for a government shutdown. So what Speaker Johnson is talking about is this idea of doing a stopgap measure, or what's called a CR, continuing resolution, and punt government funding, essentially extending the current funding levels to go into likely November, December. The time range is still a little flexible, and they haven't worked that part out yet. But what he wants to do, and he's been talking about this, I know we've talked about this on the show before, there are the appropriations bills they want to pass. That's 12 individual spending bills that fund different parts of the government. They have voted to go into what Speaker Johnson just mentioned, a conference committee. So essentially, negotiators would sit behind closed doors. They would try to come up with some type of deal that can pass both the House and the Senate, and then they would try to vote on that. So those would be 3 bills of the 12 that have passed out of the Senate. The Senate's actually passed them on the floor. The first time in decades they've done something like that. And essentially they would try to negotiate a deal for those bills to be funded all the way through next September 30th. And in the meantime, they would negotiate the rest of the government funding package that would give them a November, December deadline.
I want to tap into a little bit of what you just talked about there as far as what is kind of status quo. There's what's supposed to happen, but then there's what always happens. So does it look like what this slim majority of Republicans in the House, and not 60 Republicans, of course, in the Senate, is it realistic to think that anything's really going to be different this year than any other? Is there any reason to believe that this Congress might do something differently?
Well, Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune have been very committed to this idea of doing the appropriations process. The problem is that they first of all, they had to deal with the government funding deadline the minute they got into office in January, because they had that March deadline that was agreed to back, the December before President Trump got elected, or the December after he got elected, I should say. So, and then after they got that moved to the end of September, then they had the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which ate up a lot of their priorities and a lot of their time. Obviously, we're in a new administration, so the Senate's spending a lot of time on confirmations, and government funding kind of got pushed a little bit to the back burner with that. So that's one of the reasons why we're in this situation right now. I think what's unique about this specific situation is the predicament that Chuck Schumer's in. Remember, Chuck Schumer got a lot of flack back in March when he decided to vote to break the filibuster, thus allowing Republicans to avoid a government shutdown. Is he going to be willing to play ball this time? That's something that we're watching for. And him and Hakeem Jeffries have said that they want certain health care provisions to be protected in whatever package Republicans come up with. So that's kind of something to watch. But I think that, the pressure is really on Speaker Johnson, Leader Thune, and a lot of people are putting the pressure on Chuck Schumer right now, too.
So Ryan Schmelz speaking with us right now, Fox News Radio, Capitol Hill, and White House correspondent. What are the benchmark time, what are the points in the timeline between now and the end of the year that you're watching, maybe some extra pressure being put on these legislators to get the job done? Any specific points on the calendar that we should be paying attention to?
Really, September 30th is the only one right now, because that's essentially when the government funding deadline is. Obviously, we're going to want to watch for whatever date they come up with for this continuing resolution, or CR. So that could be March. It could be December. I'm sorry, not March. It could be November. It could be December. It could be all the way to January. Yeah, we haven't seen what Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune ultimately want to go with. But so pretty much I would say the current dates to watch out for: it's September 30th, which is the actual government funding deadline. And then obviously whatever date they decide to go with then. But also there is a key date coming up too, and that's what's happening next week, because we got the Rosh Hashanah holiday. So there's going to be some time off for lawmakers to observe that holiday. And that's just a couple less legislative days that they're going to have to work with. So that's something to keep in mind too.
All right. Well, Ryan Schmelz, last question before we let you go. I wanted to give you the opportunity to tell us what it's been like on Capitol Hill after the assassination last week on Wednesday of Charlie Kirk. I happened to be speaking with Congressman Mike Bost when the first news started to hit, and I read him the Daily Mail headline, and he had the opportunity to react with basically no information while we were trying to get to the bottom of it. And then, of course, the worst ended up happening. How does something like that affect the business of Capitol Hill? And are you seeing anything across the partisan divide that makes you think that in some capacity, I know you can't predict a big sweeping change, but maybe people are behaving a little bit different on Capitol Hill now after the fact?
Thomas Massey had a very interesting point after it happened. I kind of asked him 24 hours after it happened, what do you make of how people are reacting in this building right now? And he said that, I think everyone deserves a little bit of a grace period in the next 24 to 48 hours because emotions are so high. And you saw those emotions boil over on the House floor when some members were trying to get a prayer to be led in honor of Charlie Kirk. Some Democrats pushed back on that. There ended up being a lot of shouting that was going on. Some cuss words were hurled. Speaker Johnson had to gavel several times to try to get the House back in order. It was a very brief moment, and everything kind of calmed down after that. But I think it kind of showed you kind of the tension that was building in that room. But you've also seen some very bipartisan moments since then, too. I mean, I don't think a lot of people expected the moment that would nearly break them at the end of the week was a picture of Lauren Boebert and Jamie Raskin hugging on the House steps. But, that kind of shows you how some of these folks really are hurt by this. And of course, obviously, you have Democrats who are extending the hand to Republicans too. But of course, there's still the political side of this. And there's certain people who are finger pointing and whatnot. But, at the same time, it's really hard to gauge because, they left town after this happened. It seemed like a time that everyone needed to go home because emotions were so high. People were clearly heartbroken by, the death of Charlie Kirk. A lot of lawmakers knew him personally, and a lot of them very close. There are lawmakers like Anna Paulina Luna who credit Charlie Kirk for being the reason they ran for office in the first place. So this is a man who had a big impact on Capitol Hill, who was very close with a lot of members of both the Republican Party, but also, members of the Trump administration too. So obviously it's been a very heartbreaking last couple of hours and last couple of days for a lot of people, both members of Congress and their staff who work in the building. So we're seeing some moments of bipartisanship. There's no doubt about it, but there also have been some moments of contention too. But I think definitely got to watch to see how things shape out today. There's supposed to be an all members vigil being held in the building a little bit later on today. We'll see how that goes.
We will certainly do. Ryan Schmelz, we always appreciate you being there on the ground and sharing some of your time with us here on our show. Thanks for being with us again.
Hey, thank you, Annie. Have a good one.
You as well. Bye-bye. Ryan Schmelz, the Fox News Radio, Capitol Hill, and White House correspondent. Always good to talk to him. I didn't see the Raskin, what, Boebert, did he say, photo?
Mm-hmm. I didn't see that either.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that those are, let's take a break. I have thoughts on this. When there are good things that you see and then they get put out on social media, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Stick with me here. I'm going to ask a question to you, gentlemen, and then you can tell me why I'm a doofus when you come back. I know Ryan will stay tuned now. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Stepping on the table, she don't need a dance floor. Oh my, good Lord.
Infinite-vitality.com. You can call them. They're located in Glen Carbon. I implore you to give them a chance to give you that zip and zap in your life back that you've been missing. 618-486-1888, 618-486-1888. First of all, they're amazing people. When you go in, you're going to be thinking all these thoughts about you. Now, ladies, I can tell you exactly what I've been feeling when I go into situations like this. It might resonate with you. You go in and you feel like they're not going to be able to fix me. This is just the way it's going to be. I've been like this for so long. I'm so tired. I'm so cranky. I'm so grouchy. What if I do this and it doesn't work? You had any of those thoughts? I've gained the weight and it's impossible to lose. I am always tired and I'm always working and it just seems like I can't get ahead. Are these the thoughts that you're having? They're the thoughts that I was having. And through hormone replacement therapy with Infinite Vitality, I have been able to lessen a lot of that. Do I have a perfect life? No, but I am so much more capable. I refer to it as I feel so much stronger at having my hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. Like I'm in charge of what happens, not like life is happening to me. I'm controlling the life that is happening. And I'm so grateful for Dr. Ryan and the staff there that has made this a possibility for me. I want it for you as well. Give them the chance. Go have a free consultation. Get a $50 credit towards hormone replacement therapy, weight loss services as well. If you're looking for those GLP-1s, I use the tirzepatide. 618-486-1888. Mention my name, infinite-vitality.com.
If your kitchen's not even functional and you can't stand the look of your bathroom, stop just living around the problem. Let Lakeside Renovation and Design help you love your home again. From spa-like bathrooms to these beautiful, functional, custom kitchens to a finished basement, their in-house team over there at Lakeside, they're going to help bring any vision you have to life. They're going to walk you through every step of the process, the planning, the permits, all the things we don't like to do. They take care of it. You just have to dream. And they have financing options like 0 payments, 0% interest for 24 months. Schedule your free consultation today. It's lakesiderd.com.
I met my wife in law school at the University of Florida. She was from upstate New York and I was from Kentucky. We met at a daily mass at St. Augustine's. She was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. After communion, I followed her out of the church and got her phone number. The rest is history. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Little did we know that one day we would have 4 children and the largest injury firm in the world. All 4 work in the business. It's a family business. Did I ever see this coming? Hell no. We just worked very hard and treated our clients like we would want to be treated, like family. It's a full-service injury firm, auto accidents, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, Social Security, and insurance disputes. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. Visit forthepeople.com and we can get to work on your case. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
This is Kyle Bush with Cringe Financial Group. For over 6 decades, we've helped St. Louis families and businesses plan with purpose and live with confidence. How many times have you changed jobs over the years? If you're like many professionals, you may have left behind one or more 401ks. Unwatched, unmanaged, and potentially your largest retirement asset. Just because it's out of sight doesn't mean it should be out of mind. Let's make sure it's working as hard for your future as you are. Your goals, our mission, start today at kfgadvisors.com.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Servicing. Member FINRA/SIPC. Prince Financial Group is not a broker-dealer.
Today is the 15th of September. It is Monday. Welcome to the beginning of your week. The YouTube live chat poll question is, did you have a positive conversation with anyone surprising this past weekend about Charlie Kirk? Yes or no? Love to hear the story. So leave us a comment and let us know, if you can briefly, what that conversation would have looked like. 1238, this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
From Collinsville to Chesterfield, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You two always makes me laugh. And I can say this because the person who was involved in this little mini story is teaching class right now. But when I was in high school, I think he's 12 years older than me. So he was a super young teacher. I think he'd been teaching for like 3 years or 4 years when I got into high school. So he was young. Huge U2 fan. And I don't know why. Ryan, I don't know if you can imagine this. But like he said that he really liked U2, and I was like, U2's stupid. and then like for 4 years, I had to pretend like I really hated U2. And so every time I hear U2, I'm like, gosh, they're good, but I feel like it's a secret.
That's a great story.
I'm gonna we should make this. I'll just send him the link to this, and he'll be like, oh, because that was 23 years ago.
Yeah, roughly the same time when I was in college, there was a girl who lived next door to me at SIUC, and I don't know if she liked me or if she just wanted to talk about deeper things because they might have been connected. But she knew I was a Christian, and she was not a Christian, and she asked me, "Do I like you too?" And I think it was her. I think it was her like.
I don't know. I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Opening salvo to have this deeper conversation, and I was like, I like the song Discotheque, which is like blasphemy to anybody who really likes U2. And that was the end of me talking to her. She left.
No, I mean, to this day, I've been holding on to this like commitment for a really long time, and it's completely unnecessary. I think I was just moved by his extra passion that I was like, it's too much. You need to tone it down. But then I had to commit to being like, U2's not a very good band.
I felt that way about anybody who liked Radiohead at the time, too.
Well, they're not.
You're too passionate about this, my friend.
U2 is pretty collectively renowned.
Yeah.
A little bit more than Radiohead. I teased this before we went to a break, and I want to ask you guys this. Now, I will predicate this statement with the fact that I am an LCMS Lutheran Christian. And that means something to some people who are listening right now. And it means absolutely nothing to everybody else. But to the Lutherans, and I say LCMS Lutheran, because you people who don't know about what the difference is in the Lutheran Church have probably encountered the ELCA Lutheran Church, and that is not what I am. That is all the fine print.
Okay, thank you.
I tried to record probably 8 videos this weekend because I had things to say. And all I could think about was that it felt like I was taking advantage of a moment for me. And I couldn't do it. It felt like, so the reason why I cite my Lutheran faith is that I am an admitted sinner, filthy rags, the whole 9 yards. That's what I'm raised in. Saved by Jesus, praise the Lord, thanks be to God. All that set aside, if you're not somebody who's in like the Lutheran world or the denominational study world, you know the show Friends, when Phoebe's trying to do a truly good deed, but even the good deeds that she does makes her feel good, and she's like, then it's not a selfless deed. So you either understand the LCMS Lutheran reference or Phoebe. Same thing. I see people selling that white shirt, t-shirt, or sweatshirt that says freedom across it. How do you do that?
Oh, okay. It's not a Turning Point shirt.
It's not a Turning Point shirt.
You're profiting off of it.
But those people are probably trying to acknowledge Charlie. I can't infer that they're like, oh, wringing their hands together going, we're going to make a ton of money on this. They're just trying to do something good. But I am so sensitive to the idea of taking something like this and making something out of it, which is really what our job is. Our job is to scour the news and to dig deep. And this one is different. This one feels like there shouldn't be an ounce of anything that I get out of any of this. But I want to pour myself into, I even hesitate to say the word, using the situation to further the cause that Charlie chose to be the cause. I'm super conflicted in this, to the extent that I couldn't even put up like kind of a Jesus-centered, kind of what I said in the first segment of the show today. I feel very conflicted on how I'm supposed to do my job as a broadcaster, as an air quotes influencer kind of by consequence, but also as a Christian.
What's our job? To share opinion. So when we're not doing that, we're not doing our job. I'm actually glad to hear you say that you went through that struggle, because that means you're not a profiteer. You're doing it for the right reasons.
I'm definitely not getting rich on my social media presence.
Shoot, are you kidding? It's like what, a couple bucks a month?
My goal is one day to make more than I spend on it.
Okay, Bob Menendez.
We're not there yet.
Anyway,
did you just call me Bob Menendez? You go back to Milwaukee.
Gold bars lining those jackets from all the social media sense.
I have a lot of thumbs up.
Good.
Thank you.
But anyway, I appreciate the struggle that you went through, because I got the luxury of being on a trip that whole time and being away from it. And so I didn't have to come in and do a show and go, what do we say? Because I can't imagine what you guys were doing Thursday and Friday going, what do you even say? Because we were struggling with that Wednesday. Like, how do you talk about this? Because you're so emotional about it. Every single person I talked to who has almost nothing to do with politics was emotional over this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the best thing to do is to say, thankfully, I believe God's doing something here. And he's going to use this terrible assassination to do something in America. And I believe he already had started doing something in America. This will be a part of that. And I am encouraged by that. And I don't feel just what you were speaking to just now. I don't feel the responsibility to bear that on myself. This is something that God's doing. If I can plug into whatever he's doing in this role that I have here, fantastic. If I drop the ball, I know God's doing it anyway. And it's a great place to be, because it takes the pressure off of you, because you can see that this is a moment where everybody's asking the big, important, right questions. And I just pray that we are, unfortunately, it takes an event like this sometimes, that we're hopefully moving in the right direction based on what's being asked in America right now.
Well, we definitely want to get some of your thoughts on it, because you weren't here on Thursday and Friday. I was a little envious of you. It's one of those, sometimes the only thing worse than being here is not being here. So envious to be on the air, envious to be off the air. It kind of just depends on your perspective in any given moment. So we'll hear more from Ryan on his thoughts throughout the course of the show, and get Brad and Ethan's feedback as well as yours. I want to know, on our YouTube live chat poll for today, did you have a positive conversation with anyone surprising this past weekend about Charlie Kirk? Yes or no? Tell us your stories in the comments as well. We'll be right back. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com. You have a crack in your concrete. You need somebody to fix it. It's causing a liability for you at your home. It's also like pretty annoying, isn't it? You want to make sure that you have a good-natured person, a good-natured business that you're going to turn your money over to, but you don't want to turn over any more money than you have to. That's why I recommend Home Shield Foundation Repair. Matt Hayes, who is the owner, knows a lot about foundations. And if you go to homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com, you'll learn about the different things that they can do for you. But I want to speak specifically to all of you who are, we're starting to get, it's like, okay, let's get everything ready for the fall. And then Mother Nature's like, how about 98 degrees? And you're like, wait, I was going to work outside and enjoy the cool weather. It's going to hit us before you know it. It's going to be cold. It's going to be rainy. You're not going to be going outside. And all of those types of foundational issues that you dealt with all summer, they're going to be there right there when you start again next year. Why not have Home Shield Foundation Repair come out and take care of them before the winter sets in? 314-227-9636. 314-227-9636. Online at homeshieldfoundationrepairs.com.
Mark Reardon isn't here to echo talking points. He challenges them. Smart, fast, and always original. The Mark Reardon Show. Weekdays at 3 on 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Mark Reardon, and Annie Fry, along with Thomas Helbig of the Retirement Advisory Group for the last Protecting Your Retirement educational event of the year. It's Thursday, October 2nd at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired and wondering if your 401k and IRA will last through your lifetime? Do you have your own personalized structured income plan set up? The markets are hitting all-time highs. Would you like to learn how to automatically lock in your gains without having to sell? Did you also know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you can't afford to miss the last event of the year.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisor of my show, Thomas Helbig, at the Frontenac Hilton, Thursday, October 2nd at 6:30. Go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Now, back to the Annie Fry Show. Real talk for real people. 97.1 FM Talk.
Wiggins. Oh! Monday Roundup. Yeah! This here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Well, speaking of getting a standing ovation for being a free speech hero, last night the Emmys happened, and we all care about that.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Until later today.
Yeah, the Emmys happened. The thing is, Nate Bargatze was the host, and he said ahead of time, I'm doing no politics.
This is the first time that I can remember finding out after the fact. Usually I know something's going to happen. I remember a long time ago hearing Bargatze was going to do this, and I thought, I think I'm going to watch that. Obviously, my Twitter feed was filled with a lot of other things this weekend, and I saw it this morning, and I'm like, I wish I would have watched that. I guess I'll have to get the clips. I've seen a couple. They're pretty great.
He had some good jokes along the way that the room kind of had to either groan and go along with or accept as very funny, because he had some really good ones. Variety hated him, but they're super far left. And
over the target.
They exactly. So if you see a story about this today, it's probably reprinted from Variety, because that's what I looked at. Same headline over and over and over. People just reprinting Variety.
What are they saying?
So they were saying that his countdown clock. So I don't know if you saw this whole thing, but he did a charity clock that would start at $100,000. And the longer your speech went, the more you took away from charity. So if you went past 45 seconds, then it started going down $1,000
and you know what?
per second.
He picked 45 seconds because of Donald Trump.
Ooh, I wish he would have picked 45 and 47 seconds somehow, impossibly.
I was going to make it 47, but I decided to shorten it to 45.
Right. So that was what Variety was like, it made it where he was the center of attention instead of these great artists themselves.
Barf.
Yeah, it was stupid.
But yeah, you know what? I'm sick and tired of these people not getting the attention they deserve.
Right, yeah. Thank you. So anyway.
In fact, I would have rather and probably would have remembered to tune in had it just been a Nate Bargatze stand-up.
I mean, here's the thing.
What are all these celebrities doing getting in the way? Sit down. I want to hear Bargatze.
It's a super funny gimmick because it does inject into the entire show. You are not the center of attention. Remember that.
Yeah.
And so they had to get up there and do their speech within 45 segens or they were taking money from charity.
It's amazing.
It's super funny.
It's amazing.
And a lot of them would go past and they'd go, they get real frustrated. I thought it was a great bit.
Yeah, Scooter comments, that's one thing I saw too. Boys and Girls Clubs was the
Yeah.
charity as well. So it wasn't like the Free Palestine charity or the pro-life charity. It's the Boys and Girls Club.
You couldn't disagree with it.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's
But
like,
what about the kids?
right.
Shut up!
So anyway, I think that he kind of did win. If you're making Variety mad, who cares?
The thing about it that's so great is that it's the absolute opposite end of the spectrum of doing the exact same thing that What's-His-Face did, whose name escapes me right now, but he's the curator of the museum and Night at the Museum.
Yeah,
Ricky Gervais.
Ricky Gervais.
Where he went in there and he just basically was like, nobody cares about you the way you think people care about you. Just come up here, take your award, get off the stage, and keep it moving, folks.
And blank off.
And then he called him a bunch of bad names. Nate Bargatze's like, I'm a really funny comedian with some big dumb eyes, his words, and I'd like to give some money to charity. So if we could all just get this going. It's like, how do you hate that?
Yeah.
And Variety's like, here, hold my beer.
Yeah, it was really funny to see this one. I didn't watch it because it's the Emmys and it's like whatever. But here was the big moment of the night. It's why I brought it up at all. It's Stephen Colbert. And this is from Yahoo. Listen to this glowing report.
This is going to make me mad.
Yeah, it will.
My blood's already pumping.
Stephen Colbert defies CBS with standing ovation Emmy speech.
B headline, Stephen Colbert still canceled.
So it's really funny because Stephen Colbert, it says, turned the Emmys into a night no one will forget.
Ooh, hard to forget it when you didn't know it happened in the first place.
Just 2 months after CBS announced they were canceling The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, the 61-year-old walked away with an Emmy for Best Talk Series. The room erupted. And by the way, this headline reads, defies CBS. Okay. In his acceptance speech, the host thanked the network despite the looming cancellations, telling the crowd, quote, I want to thank CBS for giving us the privilege to be a part of the late night tradition, which I hope continues long after we are no longer doing the show. So the headline itself is false and paints a picture, which did not happen. And all these people are clapping that he is a free speech advocate, that he's carrying the torch, as if you couldn't tune into one of the other 4 or 5 shows that are doing the exact same thing. Plus CBS is allowing him a year to say whatever he wants on their airways.
Colbert made a good statement the day after in his first opportunity to speak after Charlie Kirk's death. Colbert handled that situation well.
Great.
A rare acknowledgement of decency from Annie to Mr. Colbert.
Last real quick note. Nate Bargatze, not necessarily related to the Emmys, is very serious about opening Nateland, the amusement park, which he said could have multiple locations, but will start in Nashville.
I broke that story on this show because the article was like about Nate Bargatze and his hero Walt Disney.
Yeah.
And we're all leaning in going, what?
We thought, is it PR? Is he just saying something? No, he's like looking at investors, looking
Production.
at land.
Not just it's not just creating Nateland. It's production, it's content, it's giving people. He said people do not care about the actors and actresses in this. They care about the stories. We need to get back to talking about good stories. I am all for it. All right, let's take a quick break. Steve Moore, Mark Hemingway in the 1 o'clock hour. Don't go away.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
I'm here to tell you about Civia Law and CiviaLaw.com and why calling 833-995-WILL right now, 833-995-WILL, is a smart move. The first 10 people to call this number right now are going to be able to book a free strategy session so that you can get the conversation rolling about your estate plan, powers of attorney, your will, your trust, whatever you are trying to accomplish or revisit. I know a lot of you have done this, but it's been maybe a decade or decades, and the kids have grown up. The estate has definitely changed. You might have different thoughts about what you want to happen with that estate plan that couldn't have possibly been in your mind when you created that estate plan earlier on. You need Todd Sivia, and he's in 7 locations across the bi-state region in Edwardsville, East Alton, Swansea, Centralia, and Mount Vernon, also in Missouri, and Wentzville and Creve Coeur. Book your free strategy session today by calling 833-995-WILL. Tell him Annie sent you and save on that strategy session fee. SiviaLaw.com.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Tune in to the All Financial Hour with Steve All, Saturday mornings at 6, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Men, need a clinic that accepts all insurance, including Medicare? U.S. Men's Medical Center in St. Peters does. U.S. Men's helps men experiencing loss of energy, focus, concentration, and low libido. And they accept all insurance, even Medicare, for testosterone replacement therapy. Patients love the staff and the fact that, yes, I'm going to say it again, they accept all insurance, including Medicare. Feel better? Call U.S. Men's Medical Center at 636-244-5333.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
A memorial keeps growing. Lisa Brady, Fox News. People paying respects to Charlie Kirk outside his Turning Point USA headquarters in Phoenix as Vice President J.D. Vance hosts Kirk's show, bringing in other administration officials to talk about his influence in their lives, professionally and personally.
Encouraging those around him to just be the best spouses, the best parents they can be. That is the legacy that Vice President Vance says he is going to continue on forward in his own personal life, and also emphasize the courage that Kirk gave to students across the country who maybe felt a bit silenced on their college campuses, to kind of give them tools to be able to speak their minds and to know that there is a way to do so respectfully.
Fox's Alexandria Hoth at the White House. A Turning Point spokesman says they've received thousands of inquiries about starting new chapters as his accused killer awaits charges while that investigation continues.
The suspect told a handful of people that he was going to assassinate Charlie Kirk before he ultimately carried it out. One of those individuals was in a note that he left for his romantic partner. The other was in a text message to a separate individual, and the message in both of these was essentially saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I am going to do it because I hate what he stands for. Investigators are trying to determine why those individuals didn't report the messages. Did they not take them seriously, or did they intentionally keep it to themselves?
Fox's Garrett Tenney outside the Utah County Jail, where 22-year-old Tyler Robinson remains held without bond, due in court tomorrow. A fired federal prosecutor is now suing the federal government, claiming her dismissal was without cause and unconstitutional. Maureen Comey is the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, who was fired by President Trump in his first term. Maureen Comey is trying to get her job back, claiming her firing in July was politically motivated. America is listening to Fox News.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion? That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words micro. That's pound 250, micro.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
We are stuck in a summertime weather pattern right through Wednesday, then a little better towards the end of the week. Let's think mid to upper 80s, but not this afternoon. 95 for the high, partly sunny skies, just a slight chance of a spot thunderstorm. Tonight, partly cloudy 70. Tuesday and Wednesday, partly sunny hot. Each day could bring a spot storm, but again, tough to find 95 each day. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Ray.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
If, in fact, these numbers are true, it shows that President Trump was right about the Federal Reserve. They are too late. And because of the bad numbers, they likely would have been cutting in June. And if we believe the numbers, and I can tell you the one thing this administration is not going to do, and we are not going to let the Democrat media surrogates do, is during President Biden, President Harris's campaign, they told the American people, it's a vibe session. You don't understand how good you have it. President Trump was elected for change, and we are going to push through with the economic policies that are going to set the economy right. I believe by the fourth quarter, we're going to see a substantial acceleration.
Okay, well. So that's Todd Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, discussing the Fed, who they have a decision to make once again this week. And I know somebody who knows a lot about the Fed and can maybe even explain it in a way that I can understand. Steve Moore joins us once again, distinguished fellow in economics at the Heritage Foundation and a Trump economic advisor. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Annie. Good to be with you.
Thank you so much. It's always good to be with you. I wanted to give you the opportunity to give us a Federal Reserve 100 level education here real quick about why we keep hearing from the administration they need to cut rates.
Right. So usually when you start talking about the Federal Reserve, everybody falls asleep. So I'll try to make this very,
That's
very
why we have
simple to
Steve.
understand. The Fed, first of all, it's important for something that a lot of people even in the business community and the economists don't understand is the Fed does not control interest rates. I'm going to say that again loud and clear. The Fed does not control interest rates. Now people, what did he just say? I thought the Fed, the Fed controls the very, very short-term overnight interest rates that it charges to banks for holding money, et cetera, et cetera. But the interest rates that you and I and the people listening to the show are interested in, say the 10-year Treasury, the 30-year mortgage. If I want to take out a loan for our business, what's the interest rate going to be on that? That is controlled by something called the free market. Right? It's the demand and control of credit. So what I'm trying to say to you, Annie, and your listeners is there's way, way, way too much over-obsession, including by President Trump, frankly, on what the Fed is going to do with these short-term interest rates. Because now people would say, well, wait a minute, if they cut the short-term, this is what Trump would say is, or some of the politicians, if the Fed cuts the short-term interest rate, then the mortgage rate will come down. Now, here's the thing, Annie. Remember about 9 months ago before the election, 10, 11, 12 months ago, the Fed cut interest rates. Do you remember that right before the election?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of questions around that.
What happened to mortgage rates?
Did they go up? I don't.
They went up.
Yeah.
Yes, they went up. So wait a minute. If the Fed cut the short-term interest rate, why did the long-term interest rate go up? Now think about this, folks. Why would the long-term interest rate go up if the Fed cuts short-term interest rates? And the answer to that is because what drives a long-term interest rate is the market expectation about what inflation will be over the next 5 or 10 or 20 or in a case of 30 years, 30 years. So if the Fed is flooding the lowering interest rates, flooding the economy with more money, then inflationary expectations go up and we get higher rates, not lower rates. So I know this is a long-winded answer, but it's a little economic lesson. The Fed does not control interest rates. It's controlled by the market. Now, if we want a stronger economy, look, I'm fine with the short-term interest rate cut, Mr. President. Do 25 or 50 basis points, that's fine. But if we want to really supercharge the economy, rather than cutting interest rates, the best thing the government could do right now is cut government spending and debt. That would have a hugely enormous positive impact on the economy, much more so than whether Jerome Powell. Look, people think that Jerome Powell is like the Wizard of Oz, behind the curtain, and he can just push a button or pull a lever and the economy's going to get better. And by the way, I think the economy is getting better, but it's not because of the Fed.
Okay. So we're speaking with Steve Moore, a great economic lesson right there from somebody who definitely.
I'm going to have to charge everybody a little, tuition.
Yeah, send me the bill. So when we hear about inflation, for people who are like me, who are not students of economics, other than the fact that I'm trying to afford the grocery store for my family of 6,
right.
Talk to me about inflation and what this administration has done to affect it. Is it on the right direction? Is it going the wrong direction? What are we dealing with here for real?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, yes, it's going on. Remember, we had 9% inflation under Biden and Kamala Harris. It blew out the economy. People were, lost money. They couldn't pay their grocery bills, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So inflation is something that we all hate. I mean, I would come home from work and my wife would yell at me and scream at me about how high it costs of food and insurance and, grocery bills and, gas prices were going up. And so now we have inflation down to about 2.5% to 3%, which is a big improvement. But prices are still rising, and people are still, I don't know about you, people are still angry about grocery prices, right? Because they're still high.
Yes.
But the good news is they're trending in the right direction. Now, here's the thing. Most of what Trump has done has been very good to bring inflation down. For example, we're producing more energy. What do you pay in there? I think I asked you this question last week, but what do you pay in there in the St. Louis area for gas now?
Just under $3 in the city of St. Louis. You get into the suburbs, it goes down a little bit more. Illinois is a different story.
Yeah. So, by the way, California is like $5.50 a gallon, so that tells you a lot about California. But my point is that, the gas prices are coming down. That's a big relief for people. The grocery prices are still high, and the reason you're paying less for gas is because we're drilling for more oil. If you produce more of something, you get a lower price of it. And so, and then we're doing the deregulation, which is lowering costs, and the tax cut is helping as well. But the one thing that is hurting in terms of prices is the tariffs, because tariffs will, some of the cost of those tariffs gets passed on to the final consumer. So if you buy coffee, do you buy coffee? Do you have coffee in the morning?
Yes, every morning.
Okay. So, you've noticed probably the coffee prices have risen by about 25% because we have a tariff on Brazilian and Colombian coffee beans. So, some of that is going to be passed on to consumers. It's one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of the tariffs.
That's right. You've been very consistent with that here with us on our show. So what do you want to see the president do? Of course, we've got a budget that needs to be done here, and we hear a CR might be in the mix, according to Speaker Johnson, to get the job done. What are your expectations and hopes?
Well, the Democrats want to shut down the government, right? They're threatening to shut that. They're going to say, we're not going to help you Republicans pass a budget because we want to cause turmoil and blame it on you. So that makes it tough because, I'm good friends with the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. By the way, he's fabulous speaker. He's done a great job for our country. Well, he only has, a 3-seat majority, something like that. 435. So, what's the old saying? Being the Speaker of the House is like trying to herd cats. To get them all to move in the right direction is a hard thing to do, especially when you have 215 of them who say we're not going to do anything to help you. So it's going to be high drama in the course of the next few months to see if we can avoid. Nobody wants to see a shutdown, but we also have to get a lid on the spending. If you're concerned about grocery prices, and you're concerned about our debt, and if you're concerned about the future of our country that we're leaving to our kids, we can't keep borrowing, Annie, $2 trillion a year.
Yeah. Is there a situation where you want to see the Republicans stick to their guns, and if the Democrats choose to not support it and the government shuts down, that you think that that's what's best to get us to where we can get the job done?
Well, I've lived through these shutdowns. Everybody has, but I'm older than you think, so I've lived through 30 years of these. And have you noticed something? Whether it's a Republican president, a Republican Congress, a Democratic Congress, a Democratic president, any such thing, have you noticed Republicans always get blamed?
Yes. Yes, either side, majority or minority, it's always on them.
Yeah, it's always the Republicans' fault. So I'm worried that this could be something that's going to lead to, of course, I'm saying it right now, loud and clear, folks, the Republicans will get blamed, even though it's the Democrats who won't vote for the budget.
Yeah. Well, we'll hold our breath and see what happens. And maybe this year might be different than all the other years, but there seems to be kind of a status quo, which is
one thing,
punting.
and I got to jump, but one thing people have to think about, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'm just posing it as a question. Are you willing for a little bit of a shutdown of the government if it means we can get control of our nation's finances? I say yes, but I know everybody has different opinions on that.
Steve Moore, thank you for your time, as always.
Take care.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye-bye. We appreciate you very much. He's a Trump economic advisor. His book is The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again. Always great to speak with him and hear what he has to say regarding the economy. And I appreciate that he's willing to say it in a way that even I can understand, honestly. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get Ryan back in the studio. We've got Mark Hemingway on with us soon. He is with the Federalist, of course, a very, very smart, intelligent man. And he's got an article out in the Federalist that says the left has never been held accountable for political violence. We've got a lot of people who are entering the conversation now that maybe try to avoid political conversations. And we keep hearing that word, both sides, quite a bit. And we've got to figure out how to talk about it so we can get through it. Mark, we're going to speak with Mark Hemingway at 1:30. Ryan Wiggins back in studio next. Don't go away. The Lutheran Elementary School Association wants to give your child an opportunity for an education that might exist out of the public school system, that might exist out of potentially a lot of you folks have homeschooled and you think maybe it's time to get them in a classroom with some other kids. Lutheran schools are all over the bi-state region. Elementary schools, 34 of them. 4 Lutheran high schools, of which I graduated from a Lutheran high school. I'm very proud to say that. With one more Lutheran high school coming in the fall of 2026 in Franklin County. If you have thought about this opportunity for your kid, a parochial education. You don't have to be Lutheran at all. I graduated myself with a bunch of kids who were Catholic, Presbyterian, non-denominational, some that didn't really have a particular church home. You want to check out what this education can provide for you. You want to check out what the opportunities are. And if you're thinking that affordability is going to be a problem, go to lisastl.org and learn about the tuition assistance that is available to you. The website is Lisa with an E, LESASTL.org.
This special alert is for all Americans who own a vehicle. If you have a warranty that's about to expire or no warranty coverage at all, this message is for you. It's time to stop worrying about future car repairs today. Your vehicle is essential, but unexpected breakdowns can derail your plans and your wallet. It's time to future-proof your ride with CarShield. CarShield offers a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that saves drivers thousands from out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Imagine if your engine quits or your transmission fails. You could pay a fraction of the repair cost. This protection plan is at an all-time low, and to give you even more peace of mind, drivers who activate today also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Don't wait for a breakdown to drain your savings. Future-proof your car with CarShield today and drive with confidence. Call CarShield for your free quick quote. Call 800-908-8646. That's 800-908-8646. What do you have to lose? Call 800-908-8646. That's 800-908-8646. Again, 800-908-8646.
Are you nearing retirement and don't know if you have enough money saved to retire? That is scary. Do you have a written retirement financial plan in place? Well, when it comes to retirement planning, the trusted team at Financial and Tax Architects are the best. They've helped people all over St. Louis retire with confidence. And that's what you want. You want to retire with confidence. Now, they offer a one-night, 2.5-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. They hold these at colleges over the St. Louis area and in Illinois. No cost, no obligation, just learning. And at this class, you learn how to avoid costly mistakes, how to maximize your income, how to reduce taxes in retirement. So call them today, 314-888-5101, or visit fta-ria.com and take the first step toward a smarter retirement. 314-888-5101.
Protect your liver and give it the support it deserves by making Active Liver from New Nordic part of your daily wellness routine. Find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS, Meyer Grocery, or online at Amazon or at newnordicusa.com.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
What do you think would happen to Charlie Kirk?
It's just messed up, totally messed up. You know that was messed up. Like, nobody deserved that. He definitely didn't deserve that. He was a good guy.
You think he was a good guy?
I think he was.
You
Only
think?
Kirk you
Good
recognize
morals.
is Captain Kirk.
The what?
The only Kirk you recognize is Captain Kirk. I don't know Charlie Kirk. I don't know who
You
that
don't
is.
know who it is?
No, I don't know who that is.
I know who it was. Like,
I only know about him when
all of us have flaws. I can't really tell you what to believe in or how to feel. Like, everybody's having a human experience. Like, why knock him for having this human experience or what he believe in?
Even though even though he says things that are anti-women, black, all that.
I can't judge him for that.
You can't.
I can't judge him for that. But I can use judgment. He didn't deserve that.
Right.
Yeah.
As a human being.
Yeah.
You are very spiritual.
You know, yeah.
No,
I
you
can't
sound
go
like,
left. I can't go left with that.
No, you sound like, you mean left, going
yeah,
left,
like,
not left.
because
and
I'm right. Humanity.
Yeah.
I'm humanity and love first.
No, I love that. So the first person I spoke to here didn't want to be on camera, and he said, I can't judge him because I'm not God. And so let him, whatever the reaction is, if the government wants to give him a state-like funeral, if they let him do it because God is the only judge. And
Yeah, like nobody really can judge him.
Yeah.
And like I kind of like seen him before all of this happened, but I don't see what everybody else was seeing. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's how you feel. It's nice to see you.
Can you see it happening in real time? In real time. You have Don Lemon, who, due to hateful remarks, got let go of MSNBC, hateful things that he couldn't recover from. The same guy that we just heard Don Lemon say to a woman who said that she essentially, first and foremost, that Charlie Kirk's human life mattered. That's it. That's really what she said there, that Charlie Kirk's life mattered. And Don Lemon's like, point of order. Don Lemon is sitting there saying, even though he said things that were against women, Don Lemon said that Nikki Haley was past her prime. Don Lemon associated a woman's prime with her ability to bear children. Don Lemon said that Nikki Haley was no longer of use to people because she was past her prime. How did women across the aisles feel about Don Lemon's comments about women? And Don Lemon, in his man on the street gig that he's now created for himself, which I think is an amazing choice because he goes out and talks to these people, and person after person after person of the clips that actually end up getting traction make Don Lemon look like a doofus. He sees this woman walking down the street. She happens to be black. And she says Charlie Kirk's a human. Like, that's a human experience. How can you really have a different thought? Like, what is there to talk about? The Charlie Kirk issue, Don Lemon, in the middle of that, interjects an absolute provable lie that Charlie Kirk is a misogynist, that Charlie Kirk is a racist. He does it in real time. He's begging this woman to change her opinion. And her opinion is beautiful. I don't know who she votes for. I don't know if she voted for Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. I don't care. But that woman is my sister, and she's your sister, because she has an understanding and a respect for human decency, and Don Lemon is the man on the street doing everything he can to suck it out of the human souls that he meets randomly. And then he puts these clips out, and the clips that end up being the most successful are the ones that make Don Lemon look the way he looked when he was on a professional news set at a news desk, where he loses his job and now he's relegated to this. He loses every time. One of the biggest losers in media today, Don Lemon. It's so repulsive to watch him consistently work to, like, on his knees begging for the narrative to stay the way it is. And he can see it in real time crumbling before him. And he's like, but I'm out here doing the work.
You just said it.
The doing the work, that's the Kamala Harris. That was the entire 4-year policy that she was going to bring to the Oval Office, is they were going to do the work, do the freaking work. And Don Lemon's like, I'm doing the work and it's not working. Yeah, that's right. That sister just told you exactly the way I feel and the way a lot of people who I spoke to this weekend feel, regardless of their politics. We have a brotherhood and a sisterhood across the political aisle right now, with women just like that, with men just like that. And Don Lemon is shaking in his liberal boots.
Yeah, you said it. He is begging for the narrative to stay the same. He wants the same framework. And we, as conservatives, I think we even on this show, we talk about a lot. Why are liberals always just about feelings? Feelings. Let's talk about facts, that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you right now, disclaimer, what I'm about to say is feelings. It is.
Which you're entitled to.
You're
100% entitled
and
to.
I almost think we should talk about it more, but in this moment,
But I don't have them.
Telling you, yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'll be the heart for you. When this was happening, and since then, this feels bigger and different than the other news cycles and daily politics and things that are happening. This feels different. And what Don Lemon just did there was he made a whole clip. It was very much about himself. And he was interviewing lots of other people, I'm sure, too, than just her, where he was treating this like this was the same thing. Oh, let's just put this into the existing framework, plug and play, and we'll just go about our business. That ain't happening. Things are changing. I can't tell you, again, this is feelings. I can't tell you exactly what that is, what it's changing from to, but I can tell you that every single person I talk to, and I was with some guys this weekend, longtime guy friends, had lots of conversations about it with them. But I'm talking about going to the dentist this morning and the receptionist saying something about it. I'm talking about we went on a Segway tour while I was in Milwaukee this weekend.
You would.
And the Segway tour guide wanted to talk about this.
What did he say?
He said, "What do you guys do?" And I said, "Well, I'm in radio." And he goes, "Oh yeah?" Without even launching into what kind of radio, he's like, "Have you guys been covering the Charlie Kirk stuff?" Actually, he didn't even know his name. He just said the Kirk guy thing. And I said, "Yeah, we absolutely have." And he's like, "Isn't that the saddest thing?" And then he just kind of talked about the latest, I heard the killer talk to his minister, or talk, the connection with that going to law enforcement through the minister, that thing. But he just wanted to talk about it. I have no idea where he was politically, but these are strangers. They wanted to talk about it. Everybody wants to talk about it. Everybody had an emotional response to this. It's different, something different. And to plug and play it back into the old politics like we just heard, it feels gross and bad because it is.
It looks it too, and you can tell. Like, that woman was so rooted. And it was interesting to watch, like, Don Lemon tried to get into her space, and probably, Don Lemon is a very notable public figure. So I'm sure that where Don Lemon goes, even post working for NBC, that he comes with a little bit of swagger, and that people will see him. And he's if you see a public figure, like person like Don Lemon, even I would be like, oh my gosh, that's Don Lemon. This woman is just walking down the street. She's beautiful. And he starts speaking to her, and she is unfazed by whatever the Don Lemon is. And, is she Charlie Kirk's biggest fan? Does she run a Turning Point Action group of some kind? Is she on TikTok and she's just seen some of Charlie Kirk's clips and gone, that man is a child of God, and I'm a child of God, and we have that in common. And I love that he's speaking about it. There's a lot of people in the Black community who want to see faith be thrust back into the forefront where it belongs. A lot of people in the Latino community. I hope a lot of people in the white community. I hope that it is across all different types of demographical denominations that people take the Charlie Kirk method and go faith first into everything that they do. What Don Lemon does there is so cheap. It's so easy to acquire, easy to spend. There's no work or effort that goes into what Don Lemon is trying to do. And when I said earlier, and I like sit in my car, I see all you people sitting in your car, talking to your phone, making great points, and I sit there and watch them. I'm sitting in my car making what I think are good points. I get halfway through and literally the video ends with, I can't do this. Like, I'm on video and then I delete and it's gone. I don't know how to make content out of this. I feel gross making content out of this. We're on a radio show. I don't know why this feels different.
Well, we have to.
Well, yes.
We can't run a best of from 4 weeks ago.
Brad will
right
pick
now.
things out of the show and turn it into content, but I don't feel like when I'm doing what I'm doing right now, I feel like I'm talking to you. You're sitting there right now in your office, in your kitchen, in your car at a stoplight, and you want somewhere to be and you want somewhere to go where people aren't going to judge you because you don't think Charlie Kirk deserved to die. That's not content. That's life. And Don Lemon doesn't get that. And God forbid I throw myself into the categories of Don Lemon and be like, what kind of content can we get out of this? We got to take a break because Mark Hemingway is going to be with us next. He's a book editor at The Federalist, a senior writer at Real Clear Investigations, and a very exciting guest for us to have on next. His piece in The Federalist, The Left Has Never Been Held Accountable for Political Violence. Let's get Mark Hemingway's take on it next.
Do you slide on all your nights like this? Do you try on all your nights like this?
Stewart's American Mortgage. You need to talk to Stewie about your loan on your mortgage, on your house. If you are interested in learning more about how a bagel loan can help you, there's an easy number to call. There's an easy way to find out. Reach out to Stewie directly to his cell phone at 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. That's a direct line to Stewie. When I talk to Stewie about coming on the show, which I think he is this week, maybe, when I talk to Stewie about coming here and talking to us about whatever's going on with the Fed, I text him at 314-324-4440. So if you have a mortgage question, you've got access to that number as well. If you want to learn more about a bagel loan, what the heck's a bagel loan, Annie? It's a mortgage that you can get. It's a mortgage refinance that you can do where you don't pay any dollars in closing costs. So if you can secure a lower rate right now, you can do that without having to pay anything to get it done. Common sense. If you're looking to get a new house, you want to make sure you work with the best in the area. With Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan, reach out to him at 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan for more information. NMLS number 226715.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid residents in need of care at home. If you need assistance with daily activities, you can receive in-home care from a loved one that lives with you and they get paid. Through Medicaid, Freedom Care allows you to choose who provides your care at home in St. Louis, and they get paid weekly. Available to eligible Medicaid members in St. Louis. Call now to check your eligibility. It can be your daughter, son, a close relative, or trusted friend helping you with cooking, transportation, laundry, and other activities in your own home. You get the help you need, and your caregiver gets paid. Freedom Care has over 7,000 five-star Google reviews and is a leading choice in St. Louis for in-home care. If you have Medicaid and want to receive great care from a loved one, go to freedomcare.com or for faster service, call 314-597-1749. 314-597-1749. That's 314-597-1749.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
The YouTube live chat poll today is about Charlie Kirk. It's asking you about the conversations that you've had. Did you have a positive conversation with anyone surprising this past weekend about Charlie Kirk? Let us know. It's a yes or no, but we'd also like to hear your story. If it's something that we could share on the air, please let us know. 1:33. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Consistently right.
It's a ritual.
97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis conservative.
If you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the agitators, you look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left. That's not the right.
President Trump speaking on the both sides conversation that we continue to have right now in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I saw somebody post this on X, and absolutely it was correct. Like, Charlie Kirk was the nice version of what the right has. He is out there engaging people who disagree, asking them to prove him wrong. You have the president of the United States saying that the activism and the danger and the violence here is not coming from the right. It's coming from the left. I want to talk to Mark Hemingway and welcome him to the show. Book editor at The Federalist and senior writer at Real Clear Investigations, on X at Heminator. Mark, it is a pleasure to have you on the show with us. Thank you for the time today.
Hello.
So I want to give you the Yep, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sorry, you cut out there a second. We're good.
Oh, okay. There you go. I'm sorry about that. I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about this piece that you have in The Federalist. And I think that this is a question that a lot of us, there are a lot of normies out there who are watching this, asking themselves how we got here. And the term both sides continues to come up. And you've got a piece in The Federalist, which I encourage people to read the whole thing. The left has never been held accountable for political violence. I assume you agree with the president, who is saying this violence is coming from the left. It's not really a both sides issue. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, in just historical terms, I mean, I think that's absolutely true. I mean, in the immediate wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, of course, it's the problem isn't just that he was assassinated, although that's horrific in and of itself. The problem is we literally have a database now of 30,000 people who are in ordinary professions like, elementary school teachers, nurses, people in the military, public employees who were openly celebrating a political assassination and encouraging political violence. And they were doing this under their own names because the left has never been sort of held accountable for that. If you look at what's going on over on Blue Sky, which is, the liberal-dominated social network, it is more of the same. It's just an unbelievable string of people celebrating political violence. And remember, after, January 6th in 2021, I mean, they took an entire social media platform, Parler, off of line for a fraction of what's going on in Blue Sky presently, and big tech all coordinated to do that. And then just in historical terms, from in an 18-month period between 1971 and 1972, there were 2,500 left-wing bombings in the United States done by left-wing terrorist groups, 5 a day. And, among the most prominent of those left-wing terrorists was Bill Ayers, who was one of the leaders of the Weather Underground, who worked closely with Barack Obama when they were at the University of Chicago together. And, Barack Obama had his political career launched, but with the help of Bill Ayers, who held events at his house for him. And, Barack Obama never had to disavow this. I mean, he excused and was fine working alongside unrepentant, domestic terrorists. His wife, Michelle Obama, if you read her Princeton undergraduate thesis, she praises the work of Stokely Carmichael, a violent black nationalist. Again, no one had a problem with this. The left gets away with whitewashing their own violence, and the right is always held accountable for it.
We're speaking with Mark Hemingway. He's a book editor at The Federalist and senior writer at Real Clear Investigations. I want to ask you about a tweet that was, or a post on X that was made after Charlie Kirk had been shot and killed, and it was by President Barack Obama. And you talk about this in the article that you wrote. This is what Obama posted. "We don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, but this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, especially his wife Erica and their 2 young children." I want to ask you, Mark, why didn't he just start his post at this point where it says this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie. Why did he start it with, "We don't know what yet motivated this person"?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's been a whole hell of a lot of unnecessary throat clearing in recent days here. I mean, the reality is that on some level, they are still sending out this message that they find opposing views unacceptable. And that's just not how it should be. There's no need to make anything and everything about politics. The most salient thing that happened was that, a man was killed for speaking. It doesn't matter what he was said. It's that he was killed for speaking. There's a famous story that when Ronald Reagan was, shot, by, Hinckley, who, by the way, didn't appear to have any political motivations, just a crazy person, but he was shot. And right before they're about to operate him in the operating room, Reagan takes off his oxygen mask and he jokes. He says, "I hope you're all Republicans." And everyone in the room laughs. And the lead doctor that day, who, by the way, was a Democrat, looked at the president and said, "We're all Republicans today, Mr. President." And then, they put him under and they operated on him. Like the idea that we have broken that kind of societal, cohesiveness, where we're unable to set aside politics and do our professional duty, or unable to set aside politics and simply say that something, is wrong without equivocating. The fact that Barack Obama can't do that and so many others, did that even worse. Well, I may not have agreed with everything, Charlie said, blah, blah. No, you don't need to say that. All you need to do is clarify that shooting someone for having any opinion is wrong.
Yes, so much so. Yes, we're speaking with Mark Hemingway. I mean, to that specific post that Barack Obama made that you cite in your article in The Federalist, when you lead with, we don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, the first thing that President Obama did was put up a defense for himself. The first priority for the former president of the United States, of who I would say is probably still potentially the leader of the Democrat Party because they haven't been able to find another one in his wake. The first thing he does is defend himself. I think that really says something right now.
Right. Well, and then just never mind, going through what I was, talking about earlier. He has no moral standing to talk about political violence. He was fine with political violence when, people like Bill Ayers could help advance his career. He had a guy that said that America deserved 9/11 baptize his kids. I mean, the idea that he can say this stuff publicly and no one calls him on his whitewashing and his excusing of political violence that he's done for decades is just a really sad state of affairs.
Mark Hemingway speaking with us right now. I encourage you to read his piece in The Federalist. I want to ask you, because I believe you're a person of faith, I'm a person of faith, and I articulated this a little bit earlier in my show, but I think a lot of people are asking right now what to do with this story, because people who have been begging to stay out of the conversation now feel very compelled to at least acknowledge that the conversation is happening. And they're asking themselves in their own personal, these are not influencer people, these are just our neighbors. How do I engage or do I disengage from the conversation that's taking place around Charlie Kirk? And I want to know what your thoughts are on if there is a positive silver lining in the wake of an unspeakable tragedy. How do you encourage people within their own little social circles to react, to communicate, and to engage right now?
That is a really good question, and I think that's kind of the key to sort of getting us out of this. I think part of the situation here is that, part of the reason why we're seeing the reaction we are from all these, supposedly normal people on the left, cheering on violence, is that they exist in such a bubble that they don't realize what they say is so offensive or why it's so bad. And so I think it's incumbent upon a lot of us, especially those of us like myself that live in, predominantly blue areas. Although I do want to clarify, as much as I think there are problems with the leadership of the Democratic Party regarding, violence and the extreme left is clearly a force in American life, I don't think the average Democratic voter, is necessarily, so far gone on these issues. But I do think that a lot of people exist in a bubble, and I think that after Kirk's assassination, it should be incumbent upon more of us that when somebody says something that's offensive, or somebody says something that's just frankly ignorant about conservatives or people on the right or whatever, that those of us that believe some of these things or somewhat represent conservatism or whatever, don't be silent. There have been plenty of times, obviously, where you think, oh, well, it's not worth it. You roll your eyes or whatever. Just let this person go on with their rantings or whatever. But I do think that people, I don't think they necessarily need to be like aggressively confronted or anything. But I do think that people need to be, just speak up and say, well, I don't agree with that. Yeah. I don't think that's right. So there's a little bit of friction there. There's, some sand in the gears when they try and go further and further into some, sort of ideological, whirlpool where things keep getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Having said that, sometimes, finding the right words or choosing the right moment or whatever to make those kinds of decisions is difficult. And a friend of mine said something recently that I think is really perceptive for this. Is there's really two kinds of courage. There's physical courage and there's moral courage. And we as a society tend to, very easily, recognize and reward physical courage. Think about a firefighter running into a building or a soldier on a battlefield, braving a hail of bullets. Like we instinctively understand why that is a good thing and why that, is dangerous and et cetera. But, moral courage, on the other hand, speaking up when you know something's wrong or, standing up for your beliefs, is something we get the opportunity to practice, I think, every day. And the more we do it, the better we get at it. And the more important it is that, we do that. And we say something when, rather than nothing. I think is really important that we just, find the moral courage within us to, be nice, live out our values, reject violence, but at the same time, don't back down when we know something is wrong and we know something is worth, defending.
Amen. I agree with that completely. Mark Hemingway, we thank you for being with us, and I want to encourage people to read that piece that you have right now in The Federalist. You are a great writer, and we're grateful that you were able to come speak with us today.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Okay. We'd like to have you back. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
He is a book editor at The Federalist and senior writer at Real Clear Investigations. On X at Heminator. The left has never been held accountable for political violence. The Barack Obama post that he talks about there really got under my skin, but it was in the midst of all of this, and I was reminding myself, as I've said before the assassination of Charlie Kirk, that we have to be people who react with reason. It can be influenced by emotions, but we shouldn't only be reacting with emotions. And when I'm all up in my emotions, which, yes, counter to previous reports, even on today's show, I do have feelings. I do have emotions. But I work very, very hard to keep them accessible so that I can confer with those emotions, but also in check so that I can use the emotions to strengthen my reason, but not the other way around. Let's take a break. Ryan coming back in studio here next. Let's talk about the people who are losing their jobs over posts in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. What do you think about that? Let's discuss next. Don't go away.
Scott Jennings here. I'm excited to be part of the St. Louis conservative conversation, cutting through the noise with unfiltered common sense.
Scott Jennings.
Weekdays at 8 p.m.
on 97.1 FM Talk.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-239-1749. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-239-1749. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-239-1749. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-239-1749, 800-239-1749, or biglou.com.
Hi, Chad Hansen with Hansen's Tree Service. You know your trees can't talk, but if they could, they'd be calling me. From trimming to treatments, we'll make your trees the healthiest and happiest on the block. Call us before your trees start giving you the silent treatment. Check us out at hansenstree.com.
When you're injured on the job, you need more than just a workers' comp lawyer. When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, for the people. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
This is Kyle Bush with Cringe Financial Group. For over 6 decades, we've helped St. Louis families and businesses plan with purpose and live with confidence. Life changes, divorce, loss of a loved one, or an inheritance. It can be overwhelming. We provide the resources, long-standing support, and thoughtful guidance you need to plan ahead. With our help and experience, you don't have to navigate these transitions alone. You can move forward with greater clarity and confidence. Your goals, our mission. Start today at kfgadvisors.com.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Servicing. Member FINRA/SIPC. Prince Financial Group is not a broker-dealer.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody. Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
Family focused, faith filled, always on point. It's the Annie Fry Show.
On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Going places that I've never been. Seeing things that I may never see again. I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Like a band of gypsies, we go down the highway. We're the best of friends, insisting that the world keep turning our way. And our way is on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Well, you're off the road. You went to Wisconsin this weekend with your buddies, a couple friends, so you were off Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you the opportunity to just kind of talk about what that was like since you weren't with us on the air on Thursday, the day after. We got the news that he had passed, so it happened during our show, and it was essentially we got off the air, and there was reports coming out of a few different places that Charlie Kirk was in absolutely critical condition, but had a pulse and was stable. I don't think that was ever the case, because shortly after that, it was about 3:30, 3:45 when they delivered the news that he had passed. So you've been off the air since then. Was there anything you were thinking, gosh, I wish I could talk about this?
The moment by moment of looking for the shooter was something I think the whole nation was looking at, and I'll steer away just for a second and say also, but from looking at, because I was plugged into the news. Usually when I go on vacation for a few days, part of the point is to be unplugged. That could not happen this weekend. I was very plugged in, as was everybody I was with.
Even if you would have been unplugged, like you said, you went on a Segway tour, and the Segway guy was like,
yeah,
let's talk about this.
And in detail, not that this happened, but, what's the latest? Here's what I'm hearing. That, everybody they were wanting to find the killer. And everybody was talking about every little twist and turn. And I'm deviating from the source here a little bit, the subject matter. But this, to me, what shocked me was this was worldwide. How many news stories you saw from people in Great Britain, these big marches. You saw Poland, and their parliament had a moment of silence for him. You saw nations in Africa that were affected by charities that he had been involved with, indirectly or directly, putting out tributes to him. it's just amazing. And this is, again, stepping back from the actual news story here for a second. It's amazing how somebody who's risen to prominence in a highly political way, you could say social and others, of course, with him too, but through the vehicle of political opinion, how much they can make an impact and are focused on by the world, not the United States, the whole world. And he did have that impact. Now, getting back to the subject itself, this is a cultural moment. I do believe this is probably a where were you moment now in American history. No matter what you believe or where you are on the political spectrum, I was shocked by people who. So this happens Wednesday. Wednesday night, I went to my son's baseball game. At my son's baseball game, it was almost the first thing that people brought up, not to me because I'm on the radio and they know that they could talk to me about it, but around me in the bleachers, the people around just were talking about it. This is a cultural moment that everybody's going to remember. And of the people that I did talk to directly about Charlie Kirk, some of them I had never had political discussions with before. Everybody acknowledged that they were surprised, not just by the event, but by their emotions about it.
Like it affected them in a way they didn't anticipate?
Because if you had asked them before, what does Charlie Kirk mean to you?
Yeah.
You'd say, I don't know. I mean, I've seen his clips online or whatever you would have said, whatever we would have said. I think he does great work, whatever it was. But then once this assassination took place, it was like everybody went, oh man, I think this guy actually meant something to me. And I didn't even recognize that. And I think that was happening across this country, that people who were maybe not super plugged in even, but that had seen Charlie Kirk clips and whatever on socials, that they had said, something he said once resonated with them, or maybe multiple times. And they went, wow, this felt like something got ripped away from me personally, and it affected them personally.
I think it's probably, too, not just a personal connection directly to Charlie Kirk, but there's a lot of gray area in what reality is right now, and good politicians try to explain reality to you. And you're like, oh, I didn't know that was the case. Thank you for that explanation. Everybody saw what happened and can't deny it. There's no question about what reality was there. One single shot at that event, a kill shot that silenced Charlie Kirk. That is a reality that nobody can spin, and those who have tried to spin it are failing big failures. And the fact that we have an absolute truth that isn't your truth or my truth. There's an absolute truth here. Everybody gets to have a perspective on it. I don't think we've had a lot of absolute truths recently. It's interesting that you encountered it so much this weekend when you were out and about. All right, let's take a quick break. 2 o'clock hour in front of us. We're going to have a little more discussion about this. The YouTube live chat poll, did you have a positive conversation with anyone surprising this weekend about Charlie Kirk? Yes or no? Let us know.
If you suffer from burning, tingling, or numb feet, pay special attention as we discuss neuropathy with Dr. Patton, D.C. Doctor, what is neuropathy?
Peripheral neuropathy is nerve damage to the feet and legs.
What are the symptoms?
The symptoms are numbness, burning, tingling, pain, and loss of balance.
Is neuropathy treatable?
It's absolutely treatable, and we have amazing results.
If you have burning, tingling, numbness, coldness in your feet or hands or balance issues, call us at Comprehensive Integrated Health today for a nerve damage screening. The screening will tell if you're at risk for serious complications and if you're a candidate for our cutting-edge treatment program. Don't wait until your symptoms are so severe nothing can be done. End-stage neuropathy leaves people confined to walkers, wheelchairs, and even amputations. The first 10 callers will receive a free nerve damage screening. Call 636-538-5188. That's 636-538-5188 for your free nerve damage screening. 636-538-5188. 5188.
HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com, 314-227-9636. Uneven or sunken concrete at your home, in your driveway that is getting worse with time, with weather, with erosion. It's separating. The unlevel nature of it is becoming more severe. There's a cost-effective way for you to solve this problem, and it starts with a phone call to Matt Hayes at 314-227-9636 with Home Shield Foundation Repair. He comes in and assesses the situation so that you can have a conversation. He can tell you what he can do about it. Don't you like kind of getting that information from the foreground of whatever your situation is, to be able to know, okay, this is something I'd like to fix. I know what I'm getting myself into. Using polyjacking to raise up with foam injected under the concrete and level it out. It comes with a 5-year warranty as well. These are the types of things they're going to tell you, and you're going to be able to do something a lot more cost-effective than tearing up and replacing that concrete. 314-227-9636, HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
It's just the beginning. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. How one FBI official describes the ongoing investigation into the killing of Charlie Kirk.
That from Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino on word the agency has a match linking DNA evidence from the crime scene at Utah Valley University to the 22-year-old suspect, telling Fox's America's Newsroom.
There's not going to be a stone left unturned if there was anyone involved who aided or abetted. I can't say that in strong enough terms.
State charges incoming for Tyler Robinson and potential federal charges as investigators swarm every detail of his life, his online footprint, and anyone he was in contact with prior to last Wednesday's deadly attack.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. Robinson is held without bond in Utah, expected to appear in court tomorrow. The president is urging Republicans to unite around a short-term spending plan to keep the government running.
Republican leaders in Congress are expected to unveil a continuing resolution this week, a short-term spending extension to avoid a government shutdown at the end of the month. In a social media post, President Trump says Republicans have to stick together and vote yes to pass the plan out of the House. He claims Democrats want the government to shut down. Republican lawmakers have in the past criticized so-called clean spending extensions, demanding instead spending cuts. Any plan will need bipartisan buy-in to overcome a 60-vote threshold in the Senate.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. TikTok, a step closer to avoiding a U.S. ban.
We have a framework for a TikTok deal.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says President Trump and the Chinese leader are expected to finalize it with a call on Friday. This Wednesday is the latest Trump extended deadline of a ban passed by Congress if the social media platform does not divest from its Chinese-owned parent company. Bessent speaking during trade talks with China and Spain. America is listening to Fox News.
You ever wonder why Verizon charges twice as much as Pure Talk for the same basic service? Think it might have something to do with the fact that Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotion? That's billion with a B. Yeah, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. That's why they can offer unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a blazing fast 5G network for just $25 a month. Save an additional 50% off your first month when you dial pound 250 and say the words micro. That's pound 250, micro.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine. and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
We are stuck in a summertime weather pattern right through Wednesday, then a little better towards the end of the week. Let's think mid to upper 80s, but not this afternoon. 95 for the high, partly sunny skies, just a slight chance of a spot thunderstorm. Tonight, partly cloudy, 70. Tuesday and Wednesday, partly sunny, hot. Each day could bring a spot storm, but again, tough to find 95 each day. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation. Time to schedule your air conditioner service. Get not just your AC, but your entire HVAC system checked for $19 a month with the preferred partner plan, and stay cool this summer. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Range.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride. What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
For goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. We're thankful for you spending a little bit of your afternoon here with us on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis's Fox News radio affiliate, St. Louis Conservative. It's been wild to watch the reactions in the wake of Charlie Kirk's, if I almost said passing, and then I'll get message from people, he didn't pass, he was assassinated. And there's a part of me, it's a human part of me, that doesn't want to say his name and that word in the sentence every time. To put those things together, to make that be like the legacy of the way we talk about him. Because saying he passed is also true. It's just not as descriptive. But some of these words end up, they do matter. And the timeline and how they matter, it will shift and it will ebb and it will flow. But I just want to tell you, if I say passing, I'm actually trying to give the people who are listening to the show, which the vast majority of you are with me. You're with us. We're with Charlie. Most of us together are culturally, socially, politically aligned with the majority of things. Not, of course, with everything, but with the majority of things. There are a lot of people who listen to the show who don't agree with us, but appreciate that we present stuff in a non-inflammatory way. And I think it's healthy right now to think about taking the reality of where we are and moving forward in a way that is constructive. I don't really feel like ruminating. It's to me the way I kind of look at it, and I did something today that I don't really ever do. I listened to a lot of different talk products today that exist locally and on a national scale. And everybody has a choice of how to approach this. And if I come to you right now in the air and I am mad as hell and I am raging and I'm pointing fingers and I'm calling out the evil that is out there and trying to identify all the places where we need to weed out what's wrong, I just don't feel like that's the most constructive way I can contribute to this situation. I'm not here to judge how other people are handling this, because there is a sense of mourning that is taking place. And that's a phase that can last a very long time. So it's not like, oh, the news cycle, we're going to get a new news cycle here pretty soon and we're going to be moving on. I have to choose for myself. And this is where I want to encourage you from the bottom of my heart to choose for yourself to be in control of how you react in this moment. The energy that you spend online, in conversation, in the comments section, if you're being tempted to go look at that one friend that you have that was a friend in high school, or maybe it's a friend, but you guys don't talk about politics because you disagree. If you're feeling the itch to go check out their profile to see what they've been talking about, knowing that you are going to be inflamed when you get there, maybe just don't do that. Maybe just let that go. Because I think to the YouTube poll today, asking you if you had a positive conversation with anyone surprising this past weekend about Charlie Kirk, I hope the case is that a lot of us did. I hope that it turns out when our poll ends here that the majority say, yeah, I actually did. I personally, my experience, now I'm a public figure of just a teeny, like I'm like 1 foot into public figure from not being a public figure compared to Charlie Kirk, like maybe just a toe. A publicly outspoken conservative. I actually heard from more people in my life who come from the moderate left that they were thinking about me, that this sucks, that they couldn't believe it happened. I actually heard, and I'm not like, if you're in my life and you're on the right side of the aisle, don't feel like I'm calling you out in a particular way, but this caused good people who have disagreement with me on policy to be compelled to say, Annie, I'm thinking about you. I hope you're okay. I can't believe this happened. Because those are good people who matter, who maybe did vote differently than I do on a lot of things, on some things, on certain issues. I'm hearing from people in my life who are not Republicans, not conservatives, who want to tell me, Annie, I was thinking about you. And I think that's so refreshing. So I have the ability to focus on that and to think, wow, that is a positive that I can look on, that I can cling to, and I'm going to pass on the next opportunity where I'm being tempted to dive headfirst into the comment section or engage in the person who posts something, not on my timeline, but on their timeline, and I think, how dare they? I can just choose to let that go and move on with my day. Like right now, I have a lot of consecutive choices that I can make. And I think we all kind of do. Have you had any positive conversations, Ryan, with anybody surprising this past weekend? Obviously not here to name names, but anybody who came up to you that you didn't know would have been interested in this story, or maybe even as somewhere moderate to left that you were like, oh.
Well, I've mentioned a few of them that I just wasn't expecting, people that weren't plugged into politics. But I'll say this, of the conversations that I've had with multiple people, like I mentioned the Segway guy, I'd never met that guy in my life. I didn't even book that tour, so I literally had never even emailed with him. These random people, they want to talk about it. But you know, the subject with which they want to talk about it is the Christian angle. They want to talk about Charlie Kirk's faith, first and foremost, or some angle within. And that encourages me, because that is the point of why he did what he did. He ended up talking about politics, but it was because of his belief in Christ. Now, I've also seen people criticizing and saying, well, this guy brought nothing. There's a lot of criticism of this online right now. This guy brought nothing but divisiveness. Why should I be lowering my flag? Comments like that. Well, I think that there is a view of Jesus that has happened in America that has become that he is just light and love, which he is, but he's not just that. We have reduced who Jesus Christ is to just somebody who can forgive me. He absolutely can and will do that. But if I were to ask the majority of Christians even, well, how do you show Jesus that he loves you or that you love him? Nobody's going to finish the scripture that says, if you love me, you will blank. If you love, this is from the Bible. If you love me, you will. The answer is obey my commands. Something comes along with following Jesus other than just that you got forgiven. He expects something of you. He will lead you in that. But those are the conversations I'm having, that people are saying, I really appreciate listening to Charlie Kirk because he was willing to go into the lion's den and say, remember, it's not just the stuff you love. It's not just the great part of the gospel that you're a sinner and you're forgiven. That's wonderful. If you're going to live as a Christian, there are tenets that you need to follow. You need to show God that you love him. You have to obey his commands. That's what he says.
The intention of forgiveness is useless if there's not an obligation to obey the commandments. I mean, there is a law that we are commanded to follow that we inevitably will not and never be able to keep, which is why the gospel of a Savior who would die for your sins matters. It's like, in a super cheap way, like everybody loves ice cream, but you can't have ice cream all the time. And if you had ice cream all the time and you had dessert all the time, then it ceases to be dessert. It's not good for you. It might taste good, but if it's something that you are consuming because you just like the sweetness of it, you have to understand the context with which God says, like you're saying here, and like Charlie would say, like he would talk often specifically to young men about what being a man is. And he would often talk about how you have to deny yourself. You have to deny the flesh, which is, I almost said it's like the exact opposite of the message of the world, but it's not the world. It's the message of the antithesis of Christ, which is manifests itself in the world. But you have to understand that something that is anti-God would want to capture you in a way that was not obvious, that would be deceptive, to pull you away from the discipline that it would take to deny yourself all the women that you want to sleep with. Because why? Because you just want to sleep with them. That's just what my body says. I want to do this. I'm going to do it because my body says right now this is what I want to do. And there's no tomorrow to even consider. There's no even more later tonight to consider. It's what I want to do now. My body says this. It's natural. And the Bible says, no, you should save yourself for one person, and you should give yourself to that one person, and then you should be in a relationship with that one person where you should serve that person. That is a radical thing to suggest today in our culture, because we are so self-serving. We give ourselves, and we're told from every angle to give in to whatever you want, and whatever you want is good. Like, what an obviously evilly rooted message. I mean, it's really the most basic from the very beginning. You want that apple. Why would it be there if it wasn't for you? I mean, like, it's the first story. Maybe it's the second one. But this is not new. But it's really obvious in front of us. And Charlie Kirk would go out again and again and again and be like, you should deny yourself because that's what God wants for you. That's why God created you this way. And when you do, look at the good things that follow. Look at take it into a political sense. Children who come out of homes with two parents, with a dad specifically, have a higher percentage rate of success later in life. Now, obviously, because I can already feel it, don't even finish the sentence on your keyboard. You're going to tell me about this shooter and the home that he came out of. I understand that, which is why the percentage isn't 100%. But this child left a home, became an adult. From what I understand, he had a straight A student. He had a full ride or a great scholarship to the Utah University. He had a successful life leading up to this moment, but he dropped out of college and something radicalized him. He didn't come out of this loving family one morning and say, I'm going to do this. There was something that took place between the family unit that raised him and his idea to put a bullet in Charlie Kirk's head. Something happened there. What happened in that space? What was it that took place in that moment? Or in a series of moments that caused him to become radical. And if you don't think what he did was radical, then you are one of the people who I don't really need to discuss. Like, I can't convince you of that if you don't believe it in and of itself. The one thing that I would leave you with in this segment here before we get Ethan in here for sports and local, the one thing that I would ask you, we can look at the rest of the world, we can look at the rest of the country, we can look at the people who are outside of the bubble of young Americans and voters and TikTok watchers alike who saw Charlie Kirk and supported everything he said. We can look at all of that and we can understand that Charlie Kirk had a huge imprint on these people, but there are a lot of people on the outside. I would really like the Republican Party in and of itself to reflect where it has been. Charlie Kirk actually was a radical in the way he spoke within the Republican Party because he did not shy away from the fact that his thoughts and beliefs came from a biblical worldview. And he would say all the time, my politics, I can make a biblical argument for them, certainly, but I can make a completely secular argument for my political beliefs as well. Because people would be like, I don't want you to push your religion on me. And he's like, I can make the arguments for the policies that I agree with without having to cite scripture at all. The Republican Party became very, very weak in principle. And I feel as though the libertarian movement coming into the Republican Party made it so that we became a party that was just kind of like anything goes for any reason. What I would encourage people to understand, like, you know, if it's drug legalization, if it's social issues that have to do with our practicing of religion or our belief in our religion or the rights of individuals who live differently than we do, there is a difference between understanding that in a secular culture, we are still individually okay to have our own biblical beliefs. And I might agree with the policy that somebody who has different religious beliefs than I do, we might be able to come together on a policy that makes sense and come to it from different foundational positions. And it feels like the Republican Party has been made to be so scared that we're kind of like everything goes. We're going to set our religion aside for a while and try to be the no government party and just, you know, be the opposite of what the crazy liberals who want to expand government and regulate every ounce of your life. We're going to be the opposite of that. It's okay to be small government. It's okay to be socially conservative and to be deeply rooted in faith, deeply rooted in scripture. And to be a part of a party where there are other people there who are not rooted in those same things. You do not have to be quiet about your faith in those places because you're worried about offending other people. We are the party where people can come together and discuss things and disagree with things and still understand at the end of the day we want limited government. I think Republicans have been so afraid of the pedestal that Democrats inevitably put Republican candidates on that was so high up that, oh my gosh, we found out that that candidate is in fact a sinner. And the fall is so great every time that we decided we were going to be a-religious. And I don't think that you have to be that way in the Republican Party. I think that we can embrace our faith and understand that we live in a country where we are going to have other people in our party supporting the same things that may not have that same moral foundation. But I don't think we need to be quiet if we're of those people who are Christians. We don't need to be quiet about that anymore. You shouldn't be obnoxious about it, but you should be present with it. Let's get Ethan in here for Sports and Local next.
He turned to me as if to say, hurry boy, it's waiting there for you. It's gonna take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I bless the rains down in Africa. It's gonna take some time.
Air Comfort Service understands that the fall season is near. It's not really here today. It's in the 90s once again. But your HVAC system, your furnace, and your air conditioner probably needs a little attention. If fall allergies are becoming a problem for you again, this is definitely something that sets in with the shifting of the leaves and everything. You can improve your air quality when you contact Air Comfort Service at 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. You could call them for a free estimate on a whole home air purifier that can help you relieve, even eliminate allergy symptoms, pet dander, bacteria, viruses, odors that might exist in your home. Reach out to Air Comfort Service for that whole home air purifier solution that you can use to accommodate this type of fall weather, certainly in the spring as well. As the weather gets colder, the air becomes drier. If the dry air is causing you itchy skin, static shock, or even bloody noses, we get those in our house, don't use room humidifiers. Get a whole home humidifier as well. You can learn everything you need to know online at aircomfortservice.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-908-8646 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-908-8646. That's 800-908-8646. What do you have to lose? Call 800-908-8646. Again, 800-908-8646.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. If you're a renter, make sure you're protected. Renter's insurance includes options that cover stolen property, personal injury, and living expenses if your place is damaged. Quote Renter's Insurance at progressive.com.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hold up. Check it out. Sports and local.
Ethan Berger with an extra side of ETH.
Ew.
These are listener suggestions
Did that
all
say
this week.
Ethan Burger?
Ethan Berger with an extra side of ETH.
But there was a TH. It wasn't Ethan.
Right.
Okay.
ETH.
I just wanted to get it right.
I didn't write any of these all week. These are listener suggestions. So if you have any suggestions for what this title should
Are
be
they
called,
all from Joe?
Shout out to Joe.
Mostly.
Shout
Not
out to
entirely.
Joe.
It's like one of the first things he comments every day on the show, and they're all great. We talk about him every day.
This was the first one that I had seen or recognized, I guess, like, oh man, he's doing this. And this one, I mean, has been stuck in my mind for weeks as my favorite one. And I'm so glad it finally made it on
Extra side of ETH. Let's have it. Sports and local.
It was a very eventful weekend of college football and doing my
No, it wasn't. Annie just farted into the mic.
Excuse you.
Out of her
I
mouth.
think she's a little bit salty about her Irish's rough weekend. That was very painful. And my condolences to all Notre Dame fans out there.
By the way, there was a massive holding on that last play. Just saying.
Oh, there totally was. I completely agree.
Super holding.
Completely
Wouldn't
agree.
have resulted in a touchdown, but I guess we just
It's
don't.
true.
I guess we just move on from that.
It's true.
I'm just channeling Jared. He cares more than I do. But I care about him. So
How about this number for you? Notre Dame, the first 0-2 team to ever be ranked in the AP Top 25.
where are they?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I got nothing. Let me pull it up real quick.
No, it's all right. We'll do it. There's people. You can keep going with the show. Never
Okay,
mind. We'll
fine.
just sit and wait.
All right, fine. Illinois defeats Western Michigan.
the
Barn
Yeah.
burner, 38-0. That's what we provide is the hard-hitting news here
Figured
on
we could
Even
take Western
Sports
Michigan.
and
It's the Upper
local.
Peninsula I'm worried about.
They have a big one coming up. I believe it's next week, a ranked matchup against Indiana.
24.
So that one will
Notre
be,
Dame has fallen from, I think what they were originally was like 4 or something like that. Maybe
They
6,
were-
then they went to 8, and then now they're 24.
They were 4 or 5. But I mean, they've lost to two
Did
very
you-
good teams.
Did you say that they're the
Two-
first 0-2 team in the top 25
That's what I saw.
ever?
That's what I saw.
Man, the people who hate Notre Dame were
Yes,
like, oh, of
that's
course
been
they
the
are."
thing, which is dumb. They've lost to two very good teams by 1 possession, so they'll still end up being a good team. And then Missouri
They
defeated.
better hurry.
Yeah, they're running out of time. They can't lose much more.
Yeah.
Missouri winners against Louisiana 52-10. They face off against South Carolina this upcoming weekend, which is supposed to be a huge game. So a couple of big games coming up for the local teams this weekend. The Cardinals lost 2 of 3 against the Milwaukee Brewers over the weekend. Our chief sports reporter was on the scene,
Yeah.
Ryan Wiggins, for it. Ryan, what were your reports from
Can
American
I quote
Family
you from
Field?
before the show?
Please.
It's the worst game I've ever seen.
I was there Friday night for what I think was the worst baseball game I've ever seen.
He
played by the
he said, he goes, did you guys watch that game Friday night? And we were all like, no.
It was embarrassing to be wearing Cardinals red behind the Cardinals dugout. We bought some good seats. We were like 2 rows back.
And everybody was like Midwest consoling you from Milwaukee. Like,
it was
it's
worse.
okay, guys.
It was worse. They didn't even care we were there.
Did you want to get in a fight?
Well, usually, people are mocking you a little bit, giving you a hard time. They were like, "Oh, hi,
Oh.
sorry."
Did they keep going? Oh,
Yeah, there were 2 little girls that were giving everybody high fives
Did
as
you
they
take
walked
the
by,
baseball from
and
them?
I went to high five them, and they pulled their hands back. That's the only real negativity we got.
Don't
Everybody
want any
else,
of the ick to transfer.
right.
It's a very
So,
red shirt you're wearing.
It was sad.
I have something to say about it, though. If as Ethan reported last week, that there is a major transformational opportunity in front of the Cardinals right now. What happens? We will wait and see. But it's not like, I feel like from last year to this year, everybody was like, literally nothing's different. It seemed like you had the opportunity. I think they said out loud, we're going to start building. And then that's at least from where I said, I know, Ethan, you could go hours on this, but it was like, we're going to say out loud, we're going to, that's what the first step is, right? Admit you have a problem.
Yes.
We're going to start the rebuild. And then nothing else seemed to happen. The next year, there's a lot of opportunity for new things to take place. I am hoping that my children, who I told you this last week, Ethan, my son was born in 2009. Think of the St. Louis Cardinals that he has known. He was 2 in 2011. Think of the teams that he's watched since then. And you said, oh, that's terrible.
It's awful.
That's awful.
No one deserves that.
That my son at 15 years old now and in the years to come might appreciate the Cardinals if they do get good again in a way that those who had, like, we lived in the 90s. You didn't. But in the 90s, we saw a lot of bad baseball. Somebody said something about, was it the 70s was bad?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
So when you know that, and then when it gets good again, you embrace it and you cherish it a little bit more. That's the lemonade we're making in the Fry House.
That's one way to turn it positive.
And one way to turn a phrase. I will say that there was one good thing in that stadium, and that they had stadium sauce. It's a sauce they only have at that stadium.
When I
What
went,
kind was it?
yeah,
I don't know. It's
It's
just
something
called stadium
mustard.
sauce.
Describe it.
I bet it was mustard.
It looked a little more barbecue-y.
Did it taste barbecue-y?
Well,
Vinegar barbecue?
It was hard to know because I put a lot of other sauces on it too, because I got a big Polish sausage with sauerkraut and mustard on
bet
it.
you
And then I
enjoyed
put that sauce also on it, so it's hard to tell what I was tasting.
That reminds me of when I went to whatever the stadium is called in D.C. Can't remember right now.
Nationals Park.
Nationals. That sounds about right.
Ooh, neat.
And we went up because Jared always wants to try like the signature thing because we had just been to Pittsburgh. And they're like, if you go here, you can get that. If you go here, you can get it over and over and over again. We went up to the usher and like, my husband's like, do you have any special foods, stuff people in and the guy goes, not really. And Jared and I looked at each other and we looked back at him and he's like, do you want like a hot dog? And we're like, yeah, do you have a special hot dog? He's like, no, but I mean, the hot dogs are over there. And it was a cart.
Could always be worse. Could always be worse.
Is it because it's DC?
I don't know. The attitude reflected the baseball, but it just was like, You got nothing to point us to? Like, just make something up.
I got a real corrupt pretzel. It's kind of our signature.
It's pretty
here.
rotten on the inside.
Yeah. Looks fine on the outside, though.
Yeah. It's all nice
Ethan.
and fancy and polished. And then to finish up the weekend recap, hey, St. Louis City finally won a game. They ended their 5-game winless streak, defeated Montreal CF 2-0 on Saturday, and now are, I kid you not, this Fox 2 report says St. Louis is now unbeaten in its last 2 games. It's just such a sad sentence. Sad sentence.
What a string.
So anyway, that's the weekend recap regarding sports.
All right. Thank you so much, Ethan. We appreciate you. Let's take a quick break. The YouTube live chat poll. Did you have a positive conversation with anyone surprising this past weekend about Charlie Kirk? Yes or no? Annie Fry YouTube channel. Go vote. Leave a comment. And we'd like to share a few of them here. Let's listen to George here. He said, my wife is so annoying. Oh, wait, this is old. This is from last week. Ethan, it says, my wife is so annoying with her 5 or 6 pillows. Okay, those didn't get removed from my thing here. I needed to refresh that. All right, give me some fresh content, people. Tell me if you had some of those positive conversations. We'll be right back.
Rather be the hunter than the prey. And you're standing on the edge, face up, 'cause you're a net.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid instantly. It's all through Medicaid, and as a St. Louis resident, it's 100% free to you. New to Medicaid, the Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 5-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is free to you through Medicaid, and with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid instantly. So go to freedomcare.com or call 314-697-4912. 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
I'm Kristen Press. And I'm Tobin Heath. We're World Cup winners, Olympians, and the hosts of The Recap Show. Every week, we sit down with the icons, disruptors, and game changers on the field and beyond it to talk victories, heartbreaks, and everything in between. We've built a space where athletes, changemakers, and people creating the future of women's sports can show up and show off as their full, unapologetic selves. Follow and listen to The Recap Show wherever you get your podcasts.
Tomorrow, some of us will wake up and it will be our last day on this earth. It will be unexpected and without warning. Each year, 250,000 people will die from medical malpractice, the third leading cause of death in America. 43,000 will die in a car or truck crash. 6,000 will die working on the job. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, and we represent many of these families. It's awful. Unfortunately, many times some of these family members are not speaking and never get to say, I'm sorry or goodbye. If you're at odds with a loved one, listen closely. Pick up the phone, call them, say you're sorry. I promise a huge burden will be lifted from your heart and your soul will be renewed. Even if you're not wrong in your own mind, it doesn't matter. Death is bad enough. Death without closure and love will follow you the rest of your days. Trust me on this. Morgan & Morgan. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Inviting you to chime in on the YouTube live chat poll. Did you have a positive conversation with anyone surprising this past weekend about Charlie Kirk? A comment here from Info Dude says, don't usually have conversations over the weekend about things in the news. This weekend was definitely exception. More conversations about Charlie Kirk than any story in recent memory. Let us know your answer to this topic today. We have a little time before 3 o'clock. We'd love to see what you have to say about it. 2:37. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
From Cottleville to Maryville, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Brad, do you have any conversations that were surprising?
I had one that sticks out in my mind because this lady is a lady at church, and she is the nicest lady ever. And, like, she's one of those persons that if you walk by them, she will say something nice to you for the sake of saying something nice to her. That's just what comes out of her. But there's no indication whatsoever that she is political in nature or would pay any attention to any of that. And she, when I saw her, she openly she saw me, and she kind of knows what I do, and her eyes welled up, and she just started crying, and she was talking to me about how she felt so horrible and how this wasn't right. This was his, she talked about his kids, his wife, all of this over what he said, and she was just beside herself. And I was just kind of like, her reaction to it was right in the way I would expect it, but what was surprising is that she even knew who Charlie Kirk was. So I think that there's an aspect of him that just the sheer cultural force that he was, he made his way out into areas that we had no idea that he had an impact in.
Vicky says, no, I spent my weekend removing hate from my life. I think there's a little culling that's taking place. Have you ever removed somebody from your timeline? Or like from... I think Facebook is where a lot of these conversations happen the most. Like actual discussions follow. It doesn't really happen. Twitter's too fast. It moves too quickly. Facebook is there's a little more gathering, it seems like.
Well, plus it's people you know better usually.
Usually. Was there anyone this weekend that you're like, I just don't think I need to see this anymore? Which you can unfollow on Facebook and not unfriend. So an unfollow is like it's a you thing. It's not an us thing.
The only time I ever do that on Facebook is if somebody just won't shut up about something. And it can be political. It could be about some multi-level marketing scheme they're doing.
I will not buy your essential oils. Knock it off.
It could be about something going on in their life that honestly could be something really important, but it's just the same. It's over and over and over and over posting.
So it's really more of like the way somebody is prone to handle anything as opposed to the specific topic that you're...
Yes.
Yeah.
That I will ban them from my timeline.
Did you ban anybody from your timeline for talking too much about face cream?
Face cream? No.
You don't have those?
No. I love my Pampered Chef, though.
That's not face cream.
I thought it might be, but I
You've
didn't
been
know.
doing this wrong.
What have I been buying then?
Grease. Crisco.
I thought that was a weird way to apply cream, but it did look like a pizza cutter.
You have had a little bit of a shine.
People have been telling me that, and I keep telling them I am not pregnant.
Betsy said, I say yes. It wasn't anyone that I wouldn't have thought would discuss. My nephew also was baptized yesterday. However, I'm pretty sure it was planned prior to the horrible event on Wednesday. What do you think about what do you think about, first, the cancellation of people who are losing their minds, laughing, celebrating? It's one thing to kind of equivocate on how, I've mentioned this before, but people are like, we're getting a lot more worked up over this shooting than we are other shootings, or a lot of people are referring to the the Minnesota legislator who was a Democrat, and they're saying these people weren't upset about that, but they're really upset about this. So there's kind of an equivocation. There's another group of people who are just an absolute uncontrollable celebratory, to me it looks demonic, reaction to this. And there is a huge movement to get those people fired from their jobs. What are your thoughts on that?
I am all for free speech, but the point of free speech is that you have equal ideas being presented across the board, and the best wins. The problem in America in the last 10 years plus has been that free speech has meant the left gets to share everything that they want and they cancel anything that they don't like. That's not free speech. That's in fact, that's the opposite of free speech. And so we're in a place now where either we have to say as conservatives, okay, let's play by the same rules that we've always played by, which is we will allow this to exist and may the best man win while they cancel our speech and bar us from social media platforms. Until Elon Musk bought that, we were barred over and over. Our show had been flagged for saying things that were outside of approved speech. I mean, it was big, and we were on the verge of losing free speech in this country. So spare me now when we have to fight. We have to fight back. We don't want to. We don't want to fight this way. You have to fight back in a way that actually re-levels the playing field. We're talking about this in multiple areas now, where this is the way that you've said the rules are. We have taken a long time to catch up to those rules because we've been playing by the old ones. Now we're here. If we all want to agree again to shake hands and say, let's be fair again, great. But that's
trust but verify.
That's not where we are. We have been canceled for too long to just say, let's just let bygones be bygones, because this free speech argument isn't working.
But it really, at the same time, if you are going out there right now and aggressively, like, it's so reprehensible the way some, and it's a very small group of people, of all the people, I think, sharing thoughts about what is taking place right now, I think that these people are a very small exception in number, but they're the squeakiest wheel to get the grease. Publicly celebrating the death, the assassination of somebody, the way some of these individuals are treating Charlie Kirk's death, is different than saying, I don't really think the vaccine is safe. Mm-hmm. And having people war against you to get you canceled, or to say, even, and I've never been like, I don't know what do you call the I guess I would just summarize them in the way people caricaturize January 6ers. Like, I wasn't the person who was in D.C. that day. And I had multiple people in my life who really wanted to go. And I don't know the foresight that I had, but I said to him, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's going to be a safe place to be. I don't want to be a part of it, and I don't want you to be a part of it. That doesn't mean that there were people, a lot of good people who I know personally, who went to the mall or the Ellipse or whichever. There were thousands of people who were gathered there that day who never were even on the side of the Capitol that was breached, that didn't know what was happening. And they were there on the ground. They didn't know because they were located on the entire different side of the Capitol while it was taking place. There are varying degrees with which people can participate in the political climate that we have right now. I am not somebody who is going to try to get somebody fired because they posted something on the internet that is outrageous. I see a lot of these people who are being very public with what looks to me to be maniacal reactions to this moment. And I don't really want them sitting at home with nothing to do, because the people who they hated so much to act that maniacal rallied together to make them have the idle hands that are the devil's playground. That makes me nervous. Now, you can't be a society that just lets those people exist in a way that is dangerous to other people, but I don't know. I'm real hesitant to do it. I do not feel compelled to I haven't looked at the archive of people that they've created that are posting just the most disgusting things. This is what I told somebody very close to me who I knew was going to go to a place the day after it happened, and that there was going to be a person there that had been outspoken negatively about Charlie Kirk before any of this even happened. Like, there had been a discussion, this is a younger person, a pro and an anti Charlie Kirk conversation had taken place between these two people. And I told this person, tomorrow you need to guard your heart and you need to guard your mind to make sure that if you do engage in any conversation, that you use both of them equally at the same time before you speak back to somebody. And I said, most importantly, you need to guard your mouth, which is always my message to myself because my mouth runs very quickly and my mouth and my head can be connected and it can go off. And my heart, when I leave my heart out of it, that comes off in a way that is very cold and callous and heartless. And I think you need all of those things to be together. That doesn't mean that you stay quiet. It doesn't mean that you don't think. Having your heart and your mouth be connected can be just as dangerous leaving out the brain as leaving out the heart can be. And if you have your heart and your mind in check with one another and you never speak up, that's a problem too. I'm going to say this. I am afraid of the people who are being canceled right now because they're then posting videos of what it looks like after they've lost their jobs, and they are not stable-looking people to me.
Yeah, they weren't stable to begin with.
No. But now they've been made even more unstable in the confines of the thing that made them so publicly unstable to begin with. It just makes me uncomfortable. We can talk a little bit more about it when we come back. I also want your thoughts on the poll. Did you have a positive conversation with anyone surprising this past weekend about Charlie Kirk? I wonder if any of you experienced this. Springs commented on the YouTube Live, our pastor had a long conversation in his sermon about Charlie Kirk. I wonder if your pastor did as well. We'll be right back.
Bold, unapologetic, unfiltered. The Mark Cox Morning Show is covering the issues that matter to you. From borders to school boards, Mark Cox is St. Louis conservative.
Experience matters, and if you're considering a backyard project, I want you to call my friends at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Mark Cox here. You know, Chesterfield Fence and Deck has been around since 1968. They're locally owned and operated by the same ownership all those years, and it is the sign you have the very best. They have their own professionally trained installation crews, their own trucks and tools. They aren't subbing anything out. You're getting the work done by the great people at Chesterfield Fence and Deck. You're welcome to visit their showroom there in Chesterfield, or they'll be happy to come to you. They do free in-home estimates, no obligation. They do free project design, so whether you want a new deck or a new fence or maybe a new pergola out back or a new sunroom, Chesterfield Fence and Deck can take care of it. And for the month of September, mention Mark and get 48 months interest-free financing on your next outdoor project with Chesterfield Fence and Deck. Go to chesterfieldfence.com.
Stop just trying to paint and patch up the outside of your home. It's time to give it a permanent upgrade with James Hardy fiber cement siding from Lakeside Renovation and Design. This siding is designed to stand up to all the crazy weather we get here in Missouri, and it looks fantastic. Lakeside is a James Hardy elite preferred contractor. Whole team, by the way, is in-house, and they're going to take care of all the details, the color, the trim, everything to customize it to your home, to take the stress off of your plate. If your home is showing any signs of wear, it's time to take the next step. Visit lakesiderd.com.
Major League Baseball realized they needed new rules to help grow and speed up the game. Your retirement strategy may also need updating to keep up with potential tax law changes, Social Security, or whatever curveball Uncle Sam throws your way. Call Ricken Financial for an initial no-cost portfolio x-ray. 314-207-6211. That's 314-207-6211 or online at rickenfinancial.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor.
Annie Fry, Ryan Wiggins, Brad Range. It's the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. The YouTube poll we've been talking about, did you have a positive conversation with anyone surprising this past weekend about Charlie Kirk, yes or no? We'll get those results here in a second. There's this TikTok story that is developing right now. Ryan, can you tell us about what's developed? This is something that was a huge deal. I think TikTok was a big deal in the election, and then it kind of got... There were maybe a couple of big waves of TikTok being the lead story, but now it's back. What do we got?
Yeah, Scott Bessent has said that he was in negotiations with Chinese officials this weekend, and this morning he came out and said, quote, "We have a framework for a TikTok deal." Treasury Secretary told reporters after coming, and these negotiations were happening in Madrid for whatever reason. They chose Spain. We're not going to talk about the commercial terms of the deal yet, so we don't know who it is. It's between two private parties, but the commercial terms have been agreed upon. We just don't know who is going to be the new owner.
It said they're not going to talk about the framework of the deal, but doesn't the end of this deal have to involve America owning the rights to the internals of TikTok so that China can't spy on us?
Yes, and it's not the U.S. government owning it. This is a private party that has been part of these negotiations.
Is it Mr. Wonderful?
I don't know. It could be, but we don't know because they haven't made that public. China is confirming the same thing, so this isn't just that we're saying that. They confirmed it this morning, that the two sides had reached a basic framework consensus on resolving issues related to TikTok through cooperation.
Wait a second. They negotiated TikTok? This is an entirely different situation.
Oh, yeah. I thought you said TikTok.
Oh, man.
So I did the TikTok story. You wanted TikTok.
So close. You almost had it.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, this is two economic giants negotiating the sale of a company that is, I mean, it's quote unquote a private company in China, but China is a communist country, so nothing is really ever private. But it will be a privately owned company in the United States that's been agreed upon and has been in these meetings.
I am really hoping it works out because I would really like to be on TikTok. We are not.
Let's get on TikTok.
That's where the real followers are.
All I can think of is John Travolta in Pulp Fiction.
This is nobody here.
Where is everybody?
I'll tell you what, it's a huge opportunity for somebody to, you know how we used to go into Blockbuster and you'd be like, oh, I want to rent Transformers.
No,
but
I
it'd be
don't.
the version of Transformers that was made a couple of years ago by somebody, and it's called Transwarmers or something. It's just there to trick you. That's what Tip Top will be for us.
Do you ever go into Blockbuster and there was a movie you went there to get? And Ethan, do you have any idea how Blockbuster worked?
I mean, wasn't it just a movie rental place?
So the store was filled with all of the cases of the movies that you could rent.
Mhm.
So you'd have a VHS tape. Do you know what that is?
Mhm.
Okay, good. You'd have a VHS tape box, and it would have the sleeve of whatever the movie was on there. And if the movie was available for rent, the actual VHS would be in a plastic case behind the front empty case that was on there. So you could see all the movies that I can smell Blockbuster right now. You could see all the movies. There's a specific smell. And it was a good smell.
Popcorn and mildew.
It kind of well, I was gonna say it kind of smelled like new cars. I think it was plastic or something like that. But you'd go, and it was all alphabetical. So you'd go find your movie. It's like using a library, really. You'd find your movie, and then you'd go, and it would just be leaning up against the wall.
And you'd be so excited if yours was
and then
there.
It was like, yes, it was there. And then you'd have to, if it wasn't, you'd have to like, okay, now what do we do? And you just walk alphabetically around the store and settle.
Yep.
I never went into one that I can remember, but I remember Redbox. That's what was the thing when I was growing up.
Redbox was a development after that, but Blockbuster, man, that was the way. I would go get a Papa John's pizza with my friend, and we get a Blockbuster there in Edwardsville, Glen Carbon. Go have a movie night. Those are the days. YouTube poll?
259 votes on today's YouTube live chat poll. Did you have a positive conversation with anyone surprising this past weekend about Charlie Kirk? 58% say yes, 42% say no.
Well, I just want to remind people that you can look for the positive. You can find the helpers. You can be a helper. You can be a positive light. You can start a positive conversation. And for every single negative one and horrendous thing you see, try to be a positive to somebody else. Keep it here. Mark Rude next.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Land Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Land Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Land Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com, 314-227-9636. That's 314-227-9636. Polyjacking is a polyurethane foam injected under concrete, raises it up, levels it out, and gets rid of that liability that's been there in your garage floor. If you have a foundation in your garage and it is cracked and it started to shift, it started to move, you are going to want to make sure that you have somebody look at that that's going to help you figure out if you've got a much bigger problem ahead of you. Matt Hayes was telling me a story of somebody who had a garage floor and they had water that was able to get under the foundation. Eventually the concrete cracked, and as the earth moved and the water moved the earth underneath it, that hole, that bubble got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it caused the garage floor to collapse in on itself. Yikes. 314-227-9636, 314-227-9636. At least have Matt Hayes come out and look at it. You'll be glad you did. HomeshieldFoundationRepairs.com.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to